Going live. Hello all. It's time for some midweek geek. A couple of my regulars can't make it tonight, Bear and Saxius. So watch as chat just all leave now because we're without Bear and Saxius' input. But I do have a familiar face in the form of Iman here, IQ, and someone's who's you were here in the dark old days, weren't you, Dark Knight?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was, yeah.
In the dark old days when I started.
In the dark ages.
Yeah, when we were all little lads, going right back. Aye. But welcome back, Dark Knight.
Hey.
Hello, chat. Hello, Mr. Baker. Hello, Halakar. Hello, Herax. If anybody else would like to join, there is a link in the Discord. In the usual place, where you're more than welcome. We do have a topic. We do have a topic tonight, and there's something I do want to mention as well. But before I mention, hello, Jeb. Before I mention it, Iman, how's gaming been for you this last week or so?
It's been pretty good. Call of Cthulhu last week, which I believe we didn't really get a chance to talk about because we were doing character rolling.
Yes.
But we did briefly touch on it. We defeated one of the big bads of the adventure after real-life months of torment. So that was fun. Didn't play Heroic on Friday, unfortunately, because Saxius wasn't feeling well. Still isn't, so please give him your best wishes.
Of course.
But we played the Call of Cthulhu one-shot on live stream instead, which a lot of you would have seen.
Yes, and which is the main reason for tonight's topic. For those who haven't seen it, it got dark at the end, and there were some dubious deeds carried out. Very dubious deeds carried out.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to discuss today. Nice to see people joining in chat. I do want to quickly say beforehand that I have had some very, very sad news today. Most of you know I went to Clericon back in October and had the pleasure of meeting Bob. Very, very pleasant, polite, unassuming, quiet guy, no airs and graces. You can just sit and chat with him, so easygoing. I was in his game on the Saturday morning, and sometimes you like, if you go to a convention and you get there really early and it feels a bit early to be playing games. I'm glad I was in that game because it was a good game. It was an entertaining game. Myself and Halakar were both in it. We named all our characters after rock stars. I was Lemmy. Halakar was Bruce Dickinson. I'm sure there was a David Bowie. There were others as well in there. And Bob just rolled with it. Smiled, laughed, enjoyed it, and after the game said how much fun he had with us. It was a good game, very, very relaxed, very calmly run. He knew exactly what he was doing, and a lovely guy. He was one of us, and to hear of his passing is very, very sad. So, Bob.
To Bob.
Bob has been in chat on quite a few of my streams recently as well. So, Bob, you'll be sadly missed.
I'm sad to say I didn't know him all too well, but as I said in the Discord, I didn't know him too well, but it's still sad. It's still a shame all the same. Godspeed, Bob, to the hereafter.
Dungeon Minister uploaded a video about him today.
Yeah. It is sad. Even like Geek, I know you had a problem with what you call cockwombler, Shauner. It's still sad. It's still sad.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, I mean, regarding Shauner, yes, I had problems with him. A lot of people did, but you don't want to see gamers go. No.
And there's all the insight, all the people they were, all the knowledge that they have. He still had a contribution to the hobby. It's still a body blow.
I mean, with Shauner, I do wish he had focused it on the positive rather than the negative so much, but that was him.
But From what everyone has said of Bob, seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, Bob was lovely. Bob was
And he'll be
really
Yeah, he
missed.
was always interacting in chat, and he was always really friendly. And I never got to meet him in person, unfortunately, and I never really got a chance to speak to him. But...
I mean, he never said a lot in chat. He'd just say hello, just say thank you, make a few comments, a few replies. Always polite, always easy to talk to, and that's how he was face to face. I only met him at Clericon. I had a chat with him on the Friday night, and I played in his game on the Saturday, and we had a little chat around lunchtime as well. That's basically all I know of him. But still, he was a nice guy. Yeah. Hello, Daniel.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DK, what games have you been playing recently?
I've actually I'm trying to. This is another reason why I've been kind of absent, because I played a game last year that TPK'd, and we had to through a series of events and player conflict. It died, so I'm trying to revive my Swords of Wizardry game. But I'm doing a multi-DM project where each DM runs a region or another realm, and basically all the DMs will get to play and DMs, so we'll get to know the rules better, and characters can hop between worlds essentially. So I'm like trying to go back to the old school where people would just play characters from different systems or from different settings essentially to see how it works, and I'm playing in as a player in the city-state of the Invincible Overlord. And well, though the DM threw a Pathfinder adventure at us. It's one of the most famous paths that they had, involving ogres, half ogres, and ogre magi. And well, through a mixture of not doing good initiative and one person getting annoyed at simultaneous initiative, all but 2 members of the party died. We lost 5 retainers, and I got revived at the cost of 6,000 gold pieces.
What level were you?
I was a level 4 thief.
Against ogres, half ogres.
Yeah, see, the problem was we were told there were cannibal ogres, and what one person wanted to do because, do stuff, another thought, I thought it was just ogres. And then we learned that there were magic users amongst the ogres. Like, we should have called it quits after that, because I got knocked unconscious after that. We should have said, nope, not worth it, but nope. We went I got knocked unconscious in this adventure twice. We got harpied, and then I died by getting Cone of Cold by a magus. And there's an ogre hag after us now. Yippee!
It sounds like a brutal DM.
It was a Pathfinder adventure is the problem. That's why. Yeah.
Hello, Mom.
But it was fun, but we should have called it quits, like after the first attempt.
Cut your losses and run, yeah.
We should have come back later, is what we should have done, but we didn't.
The OSE game on my server turned out to be a bit of a sort of a split worlds type thing, with characters bouncing around, multiple DMs. It has just been revived.
Oh, nice. With OSE, I assume, yeah?
Yeah. I've not been able to play because of work, but Gingerbeard has run a session recently, and Gene has run a session recently, so that's been good. That's been going again.
I might bring back Stonehell if you'd like, using OSE, because people seem to be receptive to it,
You're more than welcome. Welcome. Yeah. I mean, my weekends are pretty horrific at the moment in terms of being busy, but that's just the joys of working in retail.
Yeah. 1 sec, I gotta take care of something. I'll be 2 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. So we've got 10 people in chat. Tonight's topic.
Wait, hang on. I haven't talked about Call of Cthulhu yesterday.
Okay. Oh, go on then. Talk about Call of Cthulhu. Go on.
So we finally arrived in Constantinople. It's been a long, arduous journey for all of us, and only one of the original group is actually still even with us.
Yeah, I've been playing that game 13
Everyone else has either died or gone insane.
Yeah. Oh, you're using the same characters. Sorry, the false alarm. You're still playing with the same characters from the Call of Cthulhu games, are you?
The Horror on the Orient Express
We're playing
campaign.
Horror. Yeah,
That was it.
Horror on the Orient Express. And of the original group of 5, there's only one character.
That's it?
Yes.
Out of how long have you been playing it for?
13 months.
Oh, okay. Those are good odds. Those are good survival odds, honestly. You know?
Well, I mean, it's getting more deadly as time goes on. So
I know, but the fact that you still have one of the OGs after like a year, those aren't bad odds.
well, do you know why that is?
Why?
Because up until maybe a month ago, he didn't really say or interact that much, or do any poking and prodding. It was mostly me and the other characters.
So you mean he was doing the smart thing in the
Yes.
Call of Cthulhu game? Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's like my thief in Swords of Wizardry. If you don't know, thieves don't have shields and have D4 health, and their skills are like 10. Apart from climb, you'd be lucky if you had like 25 in a skill. And there's a reason why my thief is now level 4, because he's not an idiot.
Yeah, fair.
You've got to play low-level things cleverly in old school variants of D&D, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Does that
Yep.
include Tomb of Horrors?
Oh, it's legit. You can theoretically clear Tomb of Horrors at first level if you're smart. It's not wise, but you can do it. You know?
Yeah. We've still got one session left, so.
Oh boy.
Wait, is that this Sunday?
Let's hope he lives.
So, I hope so.
I'm just saying, I hope the OG lives. If he's the only one who survives, it would be worth it, you know?
Well, technically, I've already died once.
Ah. Fair enough.
Shall I tell him what happened, John?
Oh.
What's the most famous trap in the Tomb of Horrors, DK?
Oh no! Did you stick your head in a portal and die?
No.
Yes, you climbed in.
You climbed into the fucking goat head,
Yeah.
and your character is the one that's lived the longest. Really?
No, the wizard is the only one who's survived.
Basically,
okay.
the DM said that they could be reincarnated based on the fact that there might be a lock of hair of them left somewhere.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a body part. It's a body part, theoretically.
Thank you, Mondo, for the OGs. For the OGs.
Oh, for the OGs.
All right,
Yes.
I'll see you guys later then. Bye.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a topic tonight, and the topic is playing bad guys. Playing bad guys when the player characters turn not just morally grey, but black of heart. I've got a few notes here. Firstly, I think before we start, we need to have a bit of a definition of evil.
Right.
Going around the table, evil thoughts, evil deeds, or both. And what defines doing evil?
So, do you want to go first, Geek? We'll let the host go first.
Okay. And perfectly. Speaking of evil, hello, Daniel.
Hello.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hello, Daniel. Now, I will say Jeb says he's never played an all evil party. I haven't. I've never run a game for all evil party.
Nor have I.
What defines evil? But firstly, do we look at it by modern standards, or do we look at it by the standards in which the game is set? If so, how do you lay those out in your game? Are they specified by deities or by standards set by society? Is that defined by deities? I mean, you look back. There have been many cultures in the past where things that we consider to be evil now were considered to be completely normal. And it's a difficult one actually defining what is evil, because I don't think a lot of groups come to a perfect consensus.
Context matters. That's why.
Absolutely. I mean,
I would also say to tack on to that, it's not just by our standards or time. It should also be contextual on the system, as well as another big one.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, if you're playing like something that involves like Crusaders or Templars or something, then the standards of evil for them are different than standards of evil for a modern paladin.
Yes. I mean, the Crusaders believed anyone
of a rival faith.
Faith. Yeah. And equally, I believe that the forces of Islam at that time would have considered the Crusaders to have been evil, because they are rivals for the same city.
But even then, those two could come to a consensus on something, a third thing, and both agree that thing is evil.
Well, I mean, even within the religion of the Crusaders, of which I'm trying to share, would argue that butchering innocent women and children of any faith for any reason is unethical and beyond the pale.
Yeah.
And it was a punishable offense at the time. Now, was it always enforced? No. Should it have been? Yes.
No.
But by their idealized standards, they would have believed the massacre, even of heretic children, was an unethical and unpardonable sin. So
probably, yeah.
But just because they're women or children, right?
Yeah. But even just the fact that they were heretics, the preferable position would be to have converted them. But even if they, even the religion would say, well, if they don't want to convert, you can't force them. But obviously they did, Yes. But we're not going to. Yeah. Let's not get into the theological debate just yet.
That's not. Richard suggests that evil is defined as being his ex-wife. I'm sure Daniel would agree with that.
I got two examples of evil. So,
yes.
I would have thought the DMV would be a great example of evil, but what do I know?
Here we go about the definitions here. Saxius, when evil campaigns and mixed alignment, his current strategy group technically have their ship run by slaves, but they define it as serfdom, which of course was the norm back in the Middle Ages.
But why don't we go clockwise around the virtual table and get everyone's definition before we go through the weeds. In honor of our accounting DM, let's impose some order on the server. Yep.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off, Geek? Why don't you start us off?
I'm just going to flag up Thomas's comment here.
Wait. You call drying frying orange evil, but I call it delicious. Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, what do you define as evil? Something that is against the moral standards as defined by the game setting.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key.
I think that is the most blanket and near universal thing we could say in the game.
Yes. I think too many people are guilty of bringing modern beliefs into old settings. There are a number of characters who could be in our Call of Cthulhu game people would think, oh, he's bad or whatever. But evil? Don't know. It's simply because it's set in the 1920s or the game in the 1890s. For example, you met Reginald on the train.
Yes.
Who was classist, misogynistic, racist, ex-army captain, absolute knobhead, treated his wife really, really badly. Was he evil, though?
No.
No, he was just a knobhead.
Yeah.
Speaking of knobheads, hello.
Hey, Helicar!
Hey, Helicar.
Whoa.
His head is extra shiny.
Yeah. Shiny heads. Shiny heads. So, Iman, what's your definition of evil?
It's pretty similar to what you said, but I would say definitely it's something that's like immoral. But I would say either in the eyes of the society or like the sort of environment where this supposed evil thing takes place. So like cannibalism in certain cultures is not evil. It's very normal. But if I looked at someone who was eating another human, I'd be like, well, I don't know if they're evil necessarily, but it's definitely immoral.
Yeah. I mean, the Aztecs saw it as being completely normal to practice human sacrifice.
Yeah. A lot of ancient cultures did. A lot of them did.
Yeah. DK.
Mine would be in a similar vein of what's the game system, but it's also essentially anything that would violate like the fixed nature of the universe, like the logic of the universe, essentially. Like, for instance, like the cannibalism is a fine example of that. It is, yes, of course, there are cultures that did it, but that doesn't mean that it is incumbent upon nature to do so. You know, there's some things that are just vicious and violations on the natural order of things.
There's got to be context as well, though. I mean, look, for example, I'd imagine one of the few films I have seen is Alive, about the plane crash in the Andes.
Right. Now,
was what they did evil?
No.
Well, like, okay, because here's the thing. The actual act could be, but I don't consider them bad. Like, you can still do evil things, but can be redeemed for doing so regardless. Like, committing cannibalism, you've still done something that is wrought with vice or vicious. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're beyond the pale. You were forced to do so because of extenuating circumstances.
It's one thing to eat a dead body, but it's another thing to kill a person and then eat their dead body.
Yeah.
Or even eat an alive body.
Yeah. It's like murder. Like, if
two were definitely evil.
Like, if say
there's a channel I watch every now and then called Ask a Mortician, and she does a 3-part series about cannibalism. And the plane crash in the Andes is one, the Donner Party is one, and then I can't think of the name of the ship, but the one that Moby Dick is actually based on. You know, the survivors that were in the boat, the longboats trying to live, they engaged in cannibalism too. And
is that the group who were trapped in Canada?
No, their ship was sunk at sea by a whale.
They were on just the longboats, like the boats, the smaller ones that would go out and chase
the whaling boats.
Yeah.
But anyways, she said the group that was in the Andes, they didn't eat the whole body. They just cut off the minimum amount that they could use to survive. And that it was a group consensus. And when they got back, they talked about the sacrifice that their dead teammates had made to help keep them alive. So they honored and venerated those that they had to consume part of. So that, you know, that puts it in a little different perspective than some of the other historical cases of forced cannibalism.
Yeah,
I would say the Spanish Inquisition are lawful evil.
I'm going to stay out of that particular because I have biases in that, and I'm not getting into it.
I would say
the lizard folk argument, though. The lizard folk, as far as I'm concerned, are this is where we get into the point of, like, the lizard folk, by all accounts, people say are amoral, like they're just completely detached from how they behave. I would also argue that people who are detached emotionally are psychopathic, and like basically people who feel no compunction about like a lizard folk who just eats a random dead body. What if someone wants to be buried? it has no moral compunction about honoring the wishes of the dead. It just wants to eat. That to me seems evil because it's operating purely on impulsive desire. So,
but equally, do they have complete? You know how we say that humans are capable of free thought. If
free will, yeah,
free will. If a lizard man is acting on instinct here, that is different.
Because it's still because it's not like a wild animal where it only has like lower reasoning. A lizard man is capable of higher reasoning. It just doesn't care. It is capable of speech. It has culture. It can negotiate with people when it's advantageous, but it will absolutely eat people if it's also advantageous. I would say they're absolutely evil. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I'd say intent has something to do with that.
I suppose.
If you inadvertently do something bad, that's not evil. That's just stupid.
But yeah, if say the lizard man is about to eat someone and people say no, and then it goes around and does it anyway, then
that's evil.
It's just,
been told no.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and that's what they do. They don't really, whatever. I'll still do it anyway. Just won't do it when you're around. That's how often they're portrayed, because they're almost portrayed like orcs to be ontologically evil because they're monsters to be slain. You can negotiate with them, like even orcs can be negotiated with. You just shouldn't trust them because they operate on a completely different moral axis to us.
But how much of that is genetics representing itself, and how much is choice? For example, as a human, when we get scared, our body produces certain neurochemicals in response to that feeling of fear or feeling of danger that cause a lot of physiological things to happen to our body. One thing is that you will increase the amount of sweat you produce, because if something tries to grab a hold of you when you are sweaty, there's a chance you will slip out of it and get away. So that biological trait perpetrated itself, became more pronounced in those that survived. And now that there's not very much chance of us getting attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, we still sweat when we get scared.
I mean, yeah.
Do that, you're evolved and there's not saber-toothed tigers out there anymore.
I mean,
men throughout their history have had to survive on whatever it is they could find to eat. And you can't just make that stop, even though you've read a couple books and found a deity.
Well, yeah, no, but there's the fact that I'll grant you, the saber-toothed tiger is obviously an animal operating purely on instinct. That's why I don't consider wolves evil, because they're just, unless they're being dominated by, say, the forces of chaos and are being like a warg or something like that. But a lizard man is not like a wolf or a saber-toothed tiger. They are capable of higher. They're able to formulate magic. They have a culture. They're not stupid. They're not just lower animals. They are capable of higher thought. It's like in Tolkien, the whole point of the orc in the Tolkien story is that the orcs, as far as men and elves and dwarves are concerned, cannot be redeemed. Only through Eru Ilúvatar could they be saved. But the orcs have to be dealt with, otherwise the orcs are just going to wipe everything out. To the humans, the elves...
You're preaching the gospel of the liar scribe and the false Valar. We don't want to hear that.
What?
The mud that I played, I was I had a ring. I was a ring wraith. I had gone up through a lot of ranks in the Society of Mortal Mages, and we were technically an evil guild. Well, how do you play evil in a text-based role-playing game? There were rules against just going out and killing first and second level newbies at will. That was really bad for the game itself. So I took my role as a worshiper of the most powerful of the Valar, as being a proselyting mage, a proselyting minister. So what I did is I went around everywhere that was in the Middle Earth area and told about how the liar scribe was corrupting true history, that the lesser Valar were just jealous of the power of Melkor and therefore were creating these falsehoods to try to push ahead their agenda. So anybody that I could get to sit in a room, I would tell them about the glories that the giver of gifts, our almighty, all-powerful Lord Melkor, presented to us mages, were trying to spread throughout the world.
Well, my argument with me that the fact of all the gifts that you give, or that Melkor the Deceiver gives, is ones that make you slaves to your passions. So I'm like, that in essence is a violation of the natural order of things. You should rise above your own passions.
No,
and
because
operate
a
within.
true magic user tries to take power upon themselves. I am just a conduit for a greater power. I am just the funnel that the glory of our mighty Melkor is trying to encourage the growth of the world through.
All I'm going to say is that all I'm going to say
control the forces.
All I'm going to say is Iluvatar did nothing wrong when he banished Melkor out. That's all I'm going to say.
He didn't do too good of a job because he keeps coming back.
Right.
Anyway, that's my take on it.
I'm looking at this through our quote at the bottom about the Spanish Inquisition, lawful evil or lawful good. In their minds, they were absolutely 100% lawful good because they had an unquestionable, unchangeable belief that what they were doing was right. There was a big article in Dragon magazine. If you're playing a somewhat historical version of D&D, how can you have a French paladin and an English paladin fighting against each other and still getting their bonus for fighting against their absolute diametric opposite? Because they both had that belief that they were doing the ultimate, they were fighting for the ultimate good. So
I
would
argue
good and evil, like someone mentioned earlier, good and evil is 100% based on what the situation in your game is.
I would argue that the French Spanish Inquisition. I would argue for lawful neutral, where adherence to the law and the doctrine is absolutely everything, and compassion doesn't come into it.
Well, I mean, I would argue based on the fact that the people, because most people don't realize that most of the Inquisitions that happened, the actual most merciful path that were like, do you know over the 300 years of Inquisitions that have happened, how many people were killed by the Inquisitions?
It's not as many as
it's 5,000. The highest estimate from what I've heard is 5,000, and 98% of all people who were tried by the Church of Inquisitions were said, you're just misinterpreting scripture wrong, and they said, oh, I didn't realize, and they were allowed to go on their merry way.
I know it is.
Most of the murdering done in the name of the Inquisitions over the 300 years that it happened was done by secular authorities, by the monarchy, essentially. And the church tried to clamp down on that because they knew better than anyone that if you kill these people, you will martyr them and just ennoble their cause, and that is not what they wanted.
So Mac, of course, is here 100% correct here. D&D was created with a Western civilization perspective, so the French are evil. There we go.
Yep. Very true. Very, very true. I mean, even the fact of all the mocking the early gamers did of like, it's not the bullet, it's the boulet. It would have been called the boulet, as Tim Cass would have said. And it's like, yeah, massive anti-French sentiment. Of course there was. As there should be.
Okay, so I want to see
here. Don't forget Dan. Dan has to give his perspective as well.
Oh yes, Daniel, your perspective on good and evil.
What he did on Friday.
No, that'll come up later on.
I really wanted someone to be playing the big, massive Teamster woman on there and just pitch him right overboard.
Yeah.
Oh. She was a unit. She'd have done it too.
What he did wasn't evil. But
you shot a kid though, dude.
Trying to save the group.
I'm gonna come to the context of it.
This will come up in the second or third subject.
It's the next one.
But
okay.
No, like evil, for going back, and I know we hashed this a bunch already, but like the group in the Alps, that's fine. They were dead. They didn't do, but the Moby Dick story and the Donner Party, they were actually killing live people to eat them. That's evil.
Yeah, that's evil.
You wait till they die, or if the person wants to sacrifice themselves and wax themselves, that's fine. But they were killing people in their sleep.
Well, and in the Moby Dick one, they ate the blacks first because they in their mind they weren't truly human.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the
See,
Donner
Oh,
Party,
God.
they killed Americans first because they were just savages.
but
So they tried
also,
to justify it, but
like the different drug cartels to put people alive in oil drums, soak them in kerosene, light them on fire. That's evil. They're doing that
If
to
you've
make money and send a message. That's
I
evil.
mean, if you've
That's not evil. That's downright evil. That is.
Yeah.
that's beyond. Like, I mean, it's like in Africa, there's this thing called necklacing. If you have any idea what that is, it's
I don't.
it's
Oh,
it's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible.
That's like, there was one tribe in Africa
Mm.
when the British were going in, you know, the 1800s and taking over. Yeah, that's not the nicest thing to do. But the one tribe, if they captured a white man, would bury him in the dirt up to his neck after they cut off his genitals.
Oh,
Or no, they tied him down. They cut off his genitals, stuff him in his mouth, and then all the women in the tribe would defecate on his head until he suffocated.
Oh,
Jesus
To
Christ!
us, yeah, that's demented. But to them, that was socially acceptable, and that's what you did to your enemies. Is it demented? Demented as hell. But yeah.
well, look at the soldiers in Vietnam taking back ears and fingers and
Oh yeah.
all that
But
stuff.
that's-
My friend's dad had a few in a box that he got drunk and showed us one night.
But did he take
God.
them off of dead people? Or did he cut
I
them
don't
off
imagine
alive?
they sat still for him to do it while they were alive.
Well, see, part of the
I
thing
mean-
though too, in war, stuff like that, that's when it gets murky.
Mm.
But like, yeah, killing live people to eat them, throw them in burn barrels, lighting them on fire. That's evil.
I mean, look at the Romans' conquest of Gaul. Like, you know, and anyone who rebelled against Rome got crucified.
Yeah,
You know, like, and you know, in a way, if you're in open conflict with people, you know, you got to establish law and order. It's not pretty when you play Empire. This stuff's going to happen, and you know, the people they were conquering were doing essentially the same kind of stuff, just on a smaller scale.
yeah.
If they were the size of Rome, they'd be doing exactly the same thing the Romans were
Oh,
doing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See,
Right.
when you're in war, everything gets muddled.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
It does. It
And
does.
then,
Oh yeah.
and then you have, you know, like your career rapist in child fuzzy people stuff. That, yeah.
It's not good. So
Right. The reason for tonight's topic, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the Friday game.
Excuse me.
It was Call of Cthulhu. So, Call of Cthulhu, you will often get quite difficult choices to make. Where characters often have to sacrifice themselves to save the world or whatever. Now, the situation on Friday was that they went out on a boat trip. Shark tagging in the morning, fishing in the afternoon. And they found evidence of something taking chunks out of the sharks.
Huh.
So then, having just found that evidence, they got a mayday call from a small fishing boat that was damaged, and it was a fisherman, a father, and his son, his 7-year-old son, and they had caught a an alien-looking thing. It was an eel-like thing, about 30 feet long, with a single eye, massive teeth, and it was still had a bit of life in it, even though it had been shot a number of times. Now that thing, the party rescued the man and his son, pulled them on board. But when that happened, the mother came back.
Wait. The mother is in the kid's mother or the eels? Oh.
Oh, yes. And the mother had an alien intelligence and probed the minds of everybody on board to see what they were thinking and work out who the culprits were. And two of the player characters understood the dilemma. This was based on power rolls. One of the characters who understood the dilemma was a good guy who's there purely to help, to learn, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The other character who understood the dilemma was Daniel's character. Daniel was playing a rich socialite who was seeing the world on daddy's money, who was arrogant, who didn't care for anybody else. That's the character. We know that those sort of people exist. As he said, as he admitted, he was playing a snob, a brat. Now, what the creature basically said is, if you sacrifice the murderers to me by throwing them in the water, I will let the rest of you go.
Right.
If you do not, I will kill all of you.
Right.
Now, this was the problem. The murderers, according to the mother creature, were the father and the young son. Daniel reacted to that by you shove the father into the water, and then while he was being consumed by the beast, shot the child with a view to throwing the child in the water as well. Here's the question: was that an evil act?
Well, not only did he shoot the child, he physically wrestled it out of Andy's hands in order to shoot it, and then brains all over the other two characters that were there.
I would say yes, because he's a murderer, but I would also say that the entity they were talking to itself was evil anyway. So, yeah, because I take the bold and hard stance that most people don't take. Every single entity within the Cthulhu mythos that aren't human are fucking evil. Every single one of them. I don't care what anyone says, that they don't really care. The fact that they don't care, loop back to the point I said about the lizard men. Because they don't care, they are willing to inflict untold miseries onto humans. They're psychopaths. And you say, well, that's by your morality. Yeah, well, I'm not harming them, and I'm not them, so I don't care, and I label them as evil. But yes,
the mother entity considered the child to be culpable for the death of her offspring.
Yeah, but the offspring is evil. It's from an ontologically evil monster, so it deserved to die. So,
but according to Daniel's character's perspective, because he understood this communication from the mother, that either they all die or the father and son die. This is that difficult choice.
Well, I would also say that Daniel's character would also say, but I don't deserve to die if it was him being sacrificed, so...
Oh, yeah, he would have said that.
Oh, yeah, so he is evil. There you go. The answer, the conundrum has been solved. He is evil.
Specifically, what was the child's crime was involvement in the death of the Cthulhu mythos entity's offspring. So according to the mother entity, he was on the boat that caught the baby eel. Yeah, it was his father who had shot it. But according to the mother offspring, that didn't matter. The two fishermen on the boat were the two that she wanted, and they were the father and son.
So was the child a murderer?
He was in on it.
Yeah, but it's not murder. So
Yeah, but also they're just fishing, and it happened.
yeah.
And he's listening to somebody else.
And let's stop for a moment and think. Oh, if the fisherman never attacked the big Cthulhuoid monster baby, right? As if the Cthulhuoid monster wouldn't have attacked them if it saw them first. Like, come on.
It may have, because there had been disappearances going on in that bay.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm saying it would have attacked them. It would have attacked the fisherman and his son just to get some food.
Probably.
No, probably. It's almost certainly.
Yeah.
They were eating the sharks in the region. That was the thing. That's why there was a shark tagging expedition going on. Sharks.
Okay, now the lady that was tagging the sharks, that was like puking up the black stuff and all that. I was wondering the whole time, was she half eel thing? Was she like one of the? Did she have the Innsmouth look, or what was going on with her?
She gained the Innsmouth look during the adventure. She had the Innsmouth blood, but didn't know it.
Oh, so it's like the main character from The Shadow over Innsmouth.
Yes, basically. Yes. This was the organizer of the expedition. The main reason why she was a marine biologist, and the idea is that she's a marine biologist, lifelong obsession with the sea.
Thank you.
And it's and that's basically the reason for that is she has the Innsmouth. Well, she has the blood in her, and she mutated during the adventure. But no, the thing is,
guys had to take an urgent phone call. I missed a good conversation.
Oh yeah, no. We've got to the crux of the issue. IQ is that here's how we know Dan's character was evil, right? And I've refuted it because I know for a fact that Daniel's character, if he had to be the one sacrificed, he would absolutely say, "Spare my life." So he is completely selfless and self-centered to the core.
Everybody on the boat.
Oh yeah. So he's completely self-centered, egotistical, and views others as a means to an end. So I would say he's evil. Categorically.
The other argument is, though, there was one solution that the mother gave, which involved two people dying. The other one involved everybody dying.
Yes.
So the two would die anyway, no matter what.
But the kind of what I'm saying is that Daniel made that calculus is like that's typically what a lot of utilitarians would do. Is that I'm all for utilitarianism until it comes to me.
Yes.
Good people would say no, I would rather die because there are some things worth dying for. They would just say no, we're not going to play by your rules. Kill us all. We don't care.
Mac,
so they're like environmentalists. Okay.
Mac,
I mean,
the mother didn't give an option of someone else dying in the child's place. It was the fisherman and his child, or everybody. There was no other option. No other option.
And see, I was thinking when that was happening, if there had been a female player character that was able to have the communication with the mother, would they have been able to convince it that as a mother, it should not know?
No, not a fuck. You're implying you're enforcing human morality onto a thing possibly thousands of years old and of another species. It doesn't care. It doesn't give a shit.
But would a PC know that it was a creature that was thousands of years old and blah blah blah? All they know is the maternal instinct would kick in. That thing wants to kill a baby too. It just lost a baby. It should therefore know that that's a bad thing to do.
I can assume that if the thing is big, has one eye, and is talking to you through the brain, that it is definitely not of this earth. I think humans could probably intuit that this thing is very old and very powerful.
I will show you a picture of the thing.
Yeah, it's, dare I say, Geek, is it cyclopean?
Yes.
Well, and see, that's what we all say from our armchair. If this was happening in a somewhat real life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I can assume that thing is of Earth. Really. Yeah. Like if I saw that thing, I'm like, that's an alien. That's an alien.
So, but this is the difference. This. I mean, what the PCs didn't know in the adventure, all the captain of the boat had to do was get the engine started and then make 3 pilot boat checks to speed away, and they could have all been saved.
What?
Because the boat could move faster than the sea creature, but the characters did not know that. So they could have just run away.
I mean, I would sort of argue that what Dan's character did is more evil than the Mythos deity.
Oh, you can make that argument. I would disagree because
deity at least gave us a choice.
Okay, now, in my defense, in real life, I would have tried shooting the monster.
Yeah, I know. We're not saying you, Dan, are. I'm not saying you're evil. I'm saying your character is evil. Yeah. There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference.
I was just playing the character that I had in mind.
And you know what? I can appreciate that. I can truly appreciate that. You know, like, to be fair, my thief, I like in the just a tangent on my Swords of Wizardry game. It literally got to the point where I like my character should go, but I wanted to stay with the group, so I just left it to a die roll. And like odds are even, and if I got odds, I would stay, and I got odds. I really should have just said, no, my thief doesn't want to get killed. I'm going. We got harpied. I'm not staying. I can't level up if I'm dead. I can't spend all my gold if I'm dead. So, and you know what? He did die, so he should have listened to his instinct.
Here is how it all ended. Anyway, Dan's character had to make multiple sanity checks because he had directly been responsible for killing innocent humans. Those sanity checks were failed, and he got a big sanity loss, and he had a involuntary response of his limbs failing to work, turning to jelly. So he just slumped, gibbering and drooling, to the deck of the ship.
So it's major sanity loss, that is.
He lost half his sanity.
Half of his sanity he lost.
Holy hell!
Yeah, I went from 25 to 12.
Oh, that's bad. That's real bad.
The captain had a few issues with the boat. The creature made one attack against the boat and missed. Then the captain got the boat properly started and successfully sped away. And they drove back into port with one of the characters cradling the body of the child, which never went overboard. They left the sea creature, the sea serpent, back in the sea. The woman who organized the expedition was killed. Her body was left in the water. The father was eaten alive by the sea monster. But all the player characters got back to land along with the boat captain, but their sanity was in a horrible state.
Yeah, because they just saw a Cthulhuid monster and saw a dude kill 2 innocent people. I'm not surprised.
This was a 2-hour one-shot, so that was the thing. It was a one-shot adventure.
Yeah, it's still cool.
So I just thought we'd have a little bit of context about that. So I want to ask you guys now, have you ever run a game or played a game in which there are evil characters?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever run an evil game? Have you ever played an evil PC? If so, how did it go?
I think I maybe played one, but it wasn't good enough, so I'm not going to count it. You know.
But from the answers everybody else is giving, or not giving, I think the answer is no, not really.
Oh yeah, I played in a full-out evil campaign. I was a priest of Thurisdan. Of course.
Oh Jesus!
I was
went from one Cthulhu to the next.
Yeah,
exactly. I was lawful evil. My entire purpose in existing and every other living thing on the planet was just a tool for me to use to achieve my goal for existing, was bringing that God back to the world.
Huh. Lawful evil. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, it's self-promotion through any means possible. basically.
Yeah, if I could make a bargain with someone that was going to help me meet my goal 100%, would I encourage, support, and keep that bargain? If I didn't see something as being useful to me, it was either a short-term tool I discarded or I just killed it to get it out of the way.
No,
So it wouldn't be a problem.
I'm just saying it's interesting given the fact that Thuristan is chaotic evil and that you're lawful evil, but whatever.
Where does it say he's chaotic evil?
I'm fairly certain he is.
3rd edition says he's the god of chaos. It says that nowhere else, and we don't use that 3rd edition tripe. So nowhere was he.
I could be wrong. I'm just gonna double check.
He wasn't. His details weren't given.
Nope.
Because he was like mentioned offhandedly, like by Gygax on a few occasions.
Yeah.
And that he was his priesthood was hunted to extinction or something like that.
Yes.
He was so powerful that the good deities and the evil deities ganged up to build a whole new dimensional mini plane to imprison him.
A giant crystal, yeah.
And Gygax did a lot of other stuff about him after he was removed from TSR, and he talked about that in depth in the old Grey Talk chat on AOL back in the late 90s. I have all those printed up.
Nice. Yeah, the only thing, and it's not authoritative, so take it with a grain of salt, but like the wiki or whatever says he's chaotic evil, but I don't really trust wikias anyway because they're all fan edited, so it's all bollocks anyway. So all we need to know is that he's evil. That's really all we need to know.
Yeah. So my priest's first goal was to reassemble the 666 gems of Thuristan, which were in the module. And there are actually a couple other third-party modules that came out later where you will find 2 or 3 of them here and there. And to regain the 3 Thea parts and put together the tripartite in order to open the rift to bring him back.
I'm just imagining he's like, if you've seen the first Hellboy film with Rasputin, when they're on the island, he's got the big gauntlet and he goes, what I will do tonight will never be undone. And he's going to open up the portal to the crystal prison of the Abdu Jahad, the 7 gods of chaos. That's kind of what I'm imagining you were trying to do.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
I'd recommend it. It's actually it's a very good pulp. It's a very good pulp Cthulhu inspired kind of adventure film. It's really good.
I've not seen it. I've not seen many films.
No, I'd recommend it. I would anyway.
No, I mean I was basing myself on a Jehovah's Witness on steroids.
Oh boy.
I think Thomas is right here, but I do think they can be a bit of a palate cleanser. I played an evil character once in a mostly good party. So the way I portrayed him being evil, in that he was working with the party to achieve his own personal end goal. And he would make little dodgy quips, and I would describe him breaking off from the party when they got to a city and doing his own bits and bobs in order to further his aims. But every so often he would crack. For example, one of the player characters had a pet pig, and we had a little role-playing sequence with me and the DM, and I knew I was never going to succeed because the DM wouldn't allow it. But we played it just for the fun of my character trying to sell that pet pig to the local abattoir.
What's an abattoir again?
Slaughterhouse.
We rescued a group of slaves from some pirates, and he inquired as to how much the slaves would be worth. It's just little things like that. Yeah. I knew the DM would not allow him to actually do the evil deeds. He'd be thwarted, but I'd make these little comments along the way, just dropping hints. So that the players always knew that there was something dodgy going on in his head, but he would never actually get to do those evil deeds. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So then, is he really evil if he hasn't done anything evil?
Yes, he was trying to be. He was trying.
Trying and failing still. it's the idea, like in law, there's like the guilty mind and the guilty act. You know, like the guilty act is just when
I
you do
tried
something.
something evil, but I found a cure for cancer as a result. I'm so evil.
I mean,
My
if he had found the cure for cancer, he wouldn't have cared.
Yeah,
Unless-
it's like if someone says, "Oh, give me those kids, do whatever I want, I'll give you the cure for cancer." I would just say to him, "You found a way, we'll find a way. You're not getting the kids." Simple as. But like I'm thinking in the new with a new character in the Swords of Wizard game that I'm playing, and I told you, Geek, I want to play a what is essentially a fighter druid Aztec priest warrior type who is a chaotic druid. The DM allowed me to be more of a chaotic bent, but I'm going to flavor it as like there's a YouTuber called The Basic Expert. He put out an Aztec OD&D game, and I'm going to use Macahuitl, yeah, and the spell components from that game. I'm going to say if I don't have the spell components that I need to cast the spells in that game, I'm not going to prepare those spells, and I'll perform human sacrifices if I can, anytime I can, and eat the heart. Because that's what the character would do. And he'll just look at people and say, if I don't do this, the sun won't rise. No, and I will say he's still evil. He's still doing bad things, but
yes.
But he's a psychopath, so he doesn't think that way. Doesn't mean he's not.
Yeah, I made some Arizdan specific spells for my cleric, like his healing spells. For every 10 hit points he would heal, it permanently took 1 hit point from the max they could ever possibly have, and that was technically power that was siphoned off to help free
Arizdan.
I mean, there were a whole series of them.
Hey, he's functional. He does his job, I guess. Oh, this was me.
Pardon you. Iman, have you ever played a bad guy? You haven't played a bad guy in any of our games, have you? I mean, you have your character in Tuesday Night Call of Cthulhu he is a shoot first and think ask questions later character, and he has recently we had this conversation.
He is starting to be.
Yes, and he's been a couple of times recently when innocent people who've been possessed by a bad guy have come for the party, and he's thought nothing about shooting them through the head. And he's had to make, because he has realised that he is shooting innocents, he's had to make the sanity checks as a result. But his actions aren't, I would not class them as evil, because
it's self-defense. It's self-defense.
Yeah, they are self-defense, yes.
And there's nothing you can do. There's nothing that could have been done. So
there might be better ways.
I mean, I could have non-lethally injured them.
Yes,
but I mean, I wasn't thinking metagamey. I was thinking, what would my character do in this situation? The only way to make sure that someone doesn't try and kill you is to kill them.
Yes.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you might have failed the non-lethal option. If you had the chance to kill them, it's what I would classify that as. Although it's an evil that has happened, it's just more of a tragedy on your part that you had to do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's not with the intent of doing something evil. It's not the intent of protecting myself.
I've had a similar situation, believe it or not, in a 5e game, and I got kicked out of that group for. Yeah, I know. I won't get into it, but essentially, we met across this village who had been, all of them got tadpoled by illithids, right? Now, one of the player characters had a son, right, in that village. And as soon as he started monologuing or got a bit into his monologue speech, I shot a spell at him and killed him. And the party all got pissed off at me for doing this. I'm like, they're all tadpoled. We can't save them. And it's like this big moral quandary of they're illithids. They're not human anymore. You cannot save them. Like,
yeah, true.
But there's also this other. Oh, go ahead.
I think Saxius had a bit of a point here, but I think Mac followed up with a valid point. It's how you approach Call of Cthulhu. I mean, I think there's a lot of moral grey in there, and you've got to be willing to ride with the grey areas if you're going to play Call of Cthulhu.
You just have to accept that in Call of Cthulhu there is no happy ending, and that's just the end of it. Like you just have to get jiggy with it. But like here's the other moral quandary. I once in the same game, we were going through the sewers, and we all found this beetle who had been eating corpses of humanoids, and by a process of this gained intelligence. And the one question that went through my mind while this thing was talking, because my character lived in this village or this city essentially, was, okay, what happens if you run out of corpses to eat? Basically the implication I was saying of, will you eat living people? And its only response was, I don't want to lose sentience. And I'm like, nope, this thing needs to die. This thing needs to die. And they were debating on letting it leave out into the countryside to wreak havoc. Like, no, they didn't say it that way, but they were like, that's what's going to happen. It's going to stumble across people and eat them. Why are we even debating this thing being alive? It's not human. It's killing and desecrating corpses and is potentially saying, I have no problem eating the living. Why are we even debating this?
That is the whole thing about the paladin the paladin would put the creature to death quickly.
Oh, I was a neutral paladin, but my character is. We were in a Call of Cthulhu.
Neutral paladins don't exist.
Oh, I know. This is 5e. This was the problem. We're in a.
No.
Oh, I know. I agree. But I'm saying mechanically, that's what I was. But I agree. I totally agree. But this was in a Call of Cthulhu style world, which honestly paladins shouldn't exist in them anyway. But everyone else was like, oh, they were like chaotic good, saying we should let this thing go. It's like, why would you ever let this thing live? On a pragmatic level, why would you let this thing live? But it was just, I think that's the other side of this whole moral gray. People want the like, they want a good world, right? It's a room with good morality, with a moral gray coat of paint over it. They don't want real, say, neutral paladins. Yep, completely agree. But don't agree. People say they want moral ambiguity, Geek, but they really just want people to conform, like to make bad decisions. Mm-hmm. That's really all they want. They don't understand. They don't have the emotional maturity to handle moral ambiguity. They really don't, because if they truly did, the players would do things that the DM wouldn't approve of. You let them live to let the next generation of adventurers have something to level up against. I mean, you see, the problem is that my character had a family in the city. On a personal level, he can't let it live. So it's like, nah, ain't happening.
So what about the games that are an evil setting? Has anybody done Vampire the Masquerade or whatever the werewolf is, or any of those?
No, I've never. Well, like I said, I'm playing in the city-state The Invincible Overlord, so that world is fairly. You do things to survive, essentially, and it's fairly cutthroat,
Okay, give me a couple of minutes. I need to go refill my glass. So
go for it.
I had a friend that played Stormbringer. I never got a chance to join a game with him, but I mean, I've read a lot of the Moorcock books, and everybody in the Elric ones were evil. He was a little bit less evil than all the others.
I mean, to be fair, Elric, Elric of Malniboné is less evil than most of them, and by all accounts, he's still Malnibonéan is the problem. The society itself is really morally repugnant. They're not.
Was a little less evil than Charles Manson and Sadie, but that doesn't mean she wasn't evil.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like the Malnibonéans are not good people. They're really not. But yeah, it's. I don't know. Like, I'm not against playing evil necessarily, but it's just if people want to do like capital E evil, like really, really dark stuff, it's like, guys, if you sign up for this, if you really are going to sign up for this, we are playing this to the hilt. Like, you are going to do stuff that you are not going to like. Like, you know, like if you're told to burn a village to the ground and sell people into slavery or beat people to death or worse, you're going to do it. Because your general or your god is telling you to do this.
Well, that's one of the things my priest did. We were playing in Castle Amber, and we were in the big forest inside the castle. And I don't remember what happened, but it pissed him off, so he burned the entire forest down. And the DM just looked at me with his mouth agape. I can't believe you did that.
I'm evil, dude.
Yeah, you don't understand who it is that I worship.
Dude, like I actually played in a Lords of Olympus game, right? And I just kind of remember this after I said that I play evil characters. He wasn't like evil, but he was like very like he was kind of a loosey-goosey kind of guy if you left him alone. But if you spited him or you made him do things he didn't want to do, he became one of the biggest dickheads imaginable. It literally got to the point of the guy was like, if there's a chance that I can sever my connection to fate fully. If it means I'll die, cool. I don't care. And the DM kept thinking, I can salvage this if I just railroad him down the right path. And the more he did that, the more I dug my heels in. I'm like, you underestimate what this guy is like. Like, I will play characters to the hilt. And it's like, if he doesn't like being told what to do, you can't make him. If he wants to die, he will die. And it's like to be fair, it also does come down to DM skill as well. So my one advice, actually, Geek, if you can hear us, I will say is that I think the one thing that would be a good takeaway from this video, if any newbie players or DMs are listening, is don't put options before the players if you aren't happy with the possibility that they'll do something you don't want them to do. Just don't do it.
Taking notes.
Don't ever assume your players will do something. Don't ever do it. And if they do something you don't expect, don't stop them. Just
That's
roll
all
with
right,
it.
mate. I know better than everyone because I'm only a player, and I constantly do shit that John doesn't
Nice.
expect.
Nice,
Yeah.
Geek. What is that?
Looks like
It's
Arizona iced tea.
Oh, nice. I just can't.
Attic brew, perfect name for someone who lurks in the attic. That one was called Rolling Waves, and that was very nice. That's one I've just finished, and the one I'm about to start is another one from the same company called Long Ridge.
Ooh. Let me know if they're any good.
This one was
Nice.
I live near a
I
place.
assume it's some kind of like lager or a beer. Is it?
it was a present from my my brother-in-law for Christmas. He got these imported American IPAs, which I'm not a massive fan of IPAs, but these are sort of the craft ones, and they're quite nice.
Okay.
I tend to drink
Nice.
darker beers than this, but
I'm not a huge fan of beer, but maybe I'll change my mind on that.
that's that one.
Ooh, that looks nice. I'm more of a cider guy, so seeing a nice bit of amber puts a smile on my face. But yeah.
Right. Next question I've got for all of you lot.
Yeah.
Why do people play evil?
Well,
Thanatos.
I would say I would argue that they do it because it's not real. They like indulging in fictional villainy because it's the same reason why do actors like playing villains, because it's fun.
Yeah.
And there is a difference, but a lot of people don't realize is playing evil doesn't mean being a dickhead. Don't be a dickhead.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Never turn on the party. No matter how evil you are, you never turn on the party. Don't ever do it.
Unless
I get a chance to do something evil and not get told off for it.
Yeah. And it doesn't make you a bad person to portray an evil individual in a perfectly fun and safe environment of a role-playing game. It's that is my
I'll add the addendum of don't betray the party is unless you're playing like PvP, like war game style D&D, in which case all bets are off. But if you're like a group of adventurers solving problems, don't screw with the party, for God's sake.
I would say that if I was going to put an evil game out there, I would sit down with all the players beforehand and we would define what those limits would be. We would say, I would talk to everybody about going against the party or whatever. I would try and craft a situation whereby they are forced to work together.
Yeah.
And they even evil people will work as a team if it benefits them or if there's fear involved. Why do orcs live as a tribe?
Because the big ogre will brain them if they don't.
Correct. I ran a Call of Cthulhu one shot recently. Did you play it, Iman? Oh, is he here? I don't know. In which all the characters were gangsters. They'd all done bad deeds, but they had all screwed up, and they were all fearful of the boss.
Oh boy!
The boss sent them to sort something out on pain of death.
They were just good enough at their job that they could live, but they had screwed up badly that if they don't come back, they will die.
Yep.
Like you either come back victorious or you don't come back at all.
But but you could possibly come back and gain some prestige in the boss's eyes. At least that was the motivation of my character.
Yeah.
Delusional though that may be, but you never know.
So save everybody else in the party. What good is that going to do me in the long run? There are less people to split the reward among if only I come back.
Yeah, and then the boss might get the same idea of like put a bullet through your head. It's like, oh, that's the gamble.
Because I fulfilled it, or well, those of us that survived fulfilled every expectation he put upon us. Yeah. I brought back the head.
Fair enough.
You did, and who wasn't it? Iman who just wandered into the void.
Yeah, he stepped out into the
abyss.
The father of 1,000 goats. I can't remember.
The mother with 1,000 young,
wasn't it?
Shub-Niggurath, yeah, that's the one.
It wasn't that one. No, it was the chaos at the center of the universe.
Azathoth. You mean? Yeah, yes. the nuclear chaos, the blind idiot god. Yeah. I know my mythos.
Well, I mean, I will say I
need to read more Cthulhu.
I failed my sanity check, and then I had to do it. So
yeah, you just walked into the center of the black hole of insanity, and just that was it.
He failed
I failed the sanity check, and then I walked into it.
Yeah, he failed a sanity check, and was it 79 sanity you lost in one single hit?
79 sanity on a deer hunt.
How?
I had 60, by the way, which is normally quite good.
He witnessed Azathoth. That's a D100.
Wait. He witnessed Azathoth and only took 79?
It's a D100 sanity loss.
That's it?
Yeah, but
what do you mean that's it?
You're looking upon the destructive entropic void of all Cthulhu madness, and you.
Yeah, but you can't take more than 100.
Yeah, what I would say is if you look at Azathoth, you just go stark raving mad. You don't get a save. You just go insane.
He did go insane. He stepped off into the void. I basically gave him the choice. Well, either he steps off into the void, or if he wants to as a player, he could try and persuade all the others to come with him.
Yeah, I mean
that's
we all knew that wasn't happening in all
D&D crossover. That is what a mind flayer would do to you. That is what id insinuation would be. Something akin to.
I would love if I ever played a Call of Cthulhu game, I would absolutely keep the sanity saves secret and the sanity damage secret. and just start feeding privately the players like descriptions of shit they see or how their mind is slowly unraveling, but they don't know because it's like when a thief rolls a detect trap check. You don't roll it, you roll it for them, you know.
Yeah.
But to be fair, John does do that.
Yeah, but even your health, your sanity, you should know. That's the thing. You might know your health, but you know, you don't know how crazy you are. Does a crazy person know how crazy they are?
When my group gets together in a couple weeks, hopefully they're going to go to the myconid caves, which have very little airflow. There are so many random myconid spores floating in the air that every 10 minutes they have to make a check as to whether or not they start having random hallucinations. And the list of hallucinations I have include things like worms crawling under your skin, so you take a dagger and start trying to cut them out. You know, things like that.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, Thomas. You say that. I don't know what you mean by the sanity hidden or Azathoth. I'm not sure. See, that's why I would never use the outer gods in Cthulhu. Right? I wouldn't use them. I would say if they are in the adventure. I would argue that the best Call of Cthulhu stuff is when you don't use the known stuff. And everyone obsesses over the outer gods to the point where they're not scary. And two, they're so bloody powerful. Like if Azathoth wakes up, the universe is dead. If Nyarlathotep wakes up, you're all dead. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
There's no like oh, Cthulhu can make 4 attacks against you. If Cthulhu wakes up, the world is doomed. There's no stopping
us.
That is exactly the point. You can't fight them.
Yeah.
That's why you should use them, because the players have no
chance. Had to fight Cthulhu every year.
I threw that one in as an example of a game I recently ran where the characters were, by a D&D definition, probably lawful and neutral evil, because they were gangster types, and the party, the players lent into it quite well. It was a good game, but I'm going to give my answer for why I think people enjoy playing evil, and I'm also going to bring up what Brian said here.
Because they're DMs.
I think this is one of the.
How is that not Saxius' comment?
And I'm getting my Saxius fix. I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah, but Saxius' idea of being evil is making the players make out spreadsheets for like 5 hours.
If you look up lawful evil in the dictionary, it's a picture of Oscar smiling.
It is. But here, for me, okay, I work in retail. I smile to the customers. I'm nice all day long to the people I work with. I'm nice to my family. I pride myself in being a nice person.
Yes.
And I like to think that people think I generally am. But that doesn't mean I don't get little frustrations here and there, annoyances at people, get little things bottling up, especially being mildly on the spectrum. I do have these stupid annoyances in my head, little frustrations that boil and twist and won't go away. I sit and mutter and in annoyance because I was late for work because somebody decided to do something stupid in the house and I couldn't find something. And these sort of things just annoy you. Those of us who are on the spectrum, those little things annoy you more and more than they should. You know they annoy you more than they should. Yeah. And that fact actually makes it even more annoying because you know you shouldn't be getting worked up. But you know it's stupid.
Yeah, because you know it's disproportionate, but you just can't help yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same, mate. Like once, my sister threw away my dinner before I had a chance to eat it, and I got really pissed off. And she was like, "Why are you so upset?" I said, "Because I've been thinking all day about eating that, and you've just thrown it away without asking me."
I can give you an example as well. I built a Lego Star Wars, like one of the two-legged walker things when I was younger, and my God, I still get pissed off at this. My sister, my bloody sister, put our dog on the windowsill where the thing was, and of course the dog knocked it over. It took me 3 weeks to build that thing, and I never touched it again. I said, "Fuck that! I'm not doing it. I don't care. I don't care."
I'm going to show you something. Over here, you see a big wooden board. It's that big wooden board. It's about 8 foot. It's about 10 foot by 5 foot. It is a big board. I was going to build a permanent Scalextric layout for my kids.
Right.
And I started, and I got all the track, and I collected a load of cars. I loved Scalextric when I was a kid. And I started making terrain and building bridges and designing a layout that would fit on that board, lots of loops and multiple levels to best use it. And I went around and I tacked all the checked all the tracks, smoothed it all out, cleaned it, tacked it all to the board, so that it would all stay on the board properly. With the idea being that it would be something I would lower from the rafters of the loft up here. And then after it was used, I could then pull it up and it'd be out of the way.
Nice.
Okay. While organising the loft, that got tilted too far. And the tacks I'd used weren't long enough, and I hadn't secured them underneath. And the entire bent and broke, and I'd spent ages on that. For 10 years, that bastard Scalextric stayed in a box, never fitted, never fixed, never cleaned again, never looked again, because I was just I was so pettily frustrated with it all. I just had a complete hissy fit. And recently I sold it all, and that was that.
I got one even worse. My first wife made a really nice dinner. It was pork chops and fresh green beans and scalloped potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up, me and my brother always got our food last. My stepfather always got his first. So now I always eat last.
Oh, what?
Even at a wedding reception with 300 people, I'll be the last in line. Just the way I am. Well, my wife made this really nice dinner, and I always have bread with my dinner. But one of my little quirks, I like Miracle Whip on my bread instead of butter. I opened up the fridge, and there was no Miracle Whip. And I was pissed. Thank God I'd given my daughter her dinner, because I picked everything up, pans and all, and threw them in the trash. We never ran out of Miracle Whip after that. My wife immediately went to the store and got Miracle Whip, and we always had 2 jars on hand.
No, you're just over dramatic. It's okay. We all know that you're a little princess.
Hello, Kelsey.
Hello.
Hey, Kelsey.
Anyway, my point here is you get these little frustrations and they boil and bubble and whatever. And for me, running a game is a safe, constructive, and enjoyable way to get those frustrations out. And I do that by being an evil bastard when I run Call of Cthulhu. But I do.
Yes,
but I temper it so that it fits the game. But that after a game on a Tuesday night, after I've played so many sordid bad guys, I feel so much zen. So I feel so at peace. It's so because I know because the players have enjoyed it. Something I know I'm good at is role playing dodgy people by the looks of things, and I think it is an outlet, and it doesn't make anybody a bad person. To make role playing games an outlet for their frustrations, as long as they do it in such a
Constructive.
way. Yeah, as long as they do it constructively. As long as they don't
Yeah.
ruin the game for everybody else. If you're playing a big heroic campaign and you're playing a paladin, that is not the time to do it. That is not to do it. But as long as you do it the right sort of time, you can be as nasty as. And some of the stuff I worry myself about some of the stuff I've come up with when I've been running Call of Cthulhu.
Is messed up.
What you mean? Like, wait, am I actually evil?
Are we the baddies?
Yes.
I run the game. I run the baddies, and
Yeah.
I do sometimes push them a little bit beyond what the adventure says, and I enjoy doing that. Does that make me a bad person?
Yes,
No.
Reginald.
No.
It doesn't. Look, it's like a person who plays an evil character constructively is far more noble than a person playing a good person destructively.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, Manfred, you're right. Some of the other players might not want to hear or experience that. That's what it is about, knowing when and where to use it as an outlet.
You've got to know your.
You've got to know your group. You've got to know your audience, and it's. I find it. The word I was looking for was cathartic.
Cathartic, right?
I think it is cathartic because I do have all these little frustrations, and I'm not going to take my little frustration. If I'm annoyed at work, I'm not going to take it out on the next customer who walks in. I bottle it up, and I bottle it up. I'm not going to take it out. I'm not going to take it out on my family. It's not fair. It's not fair, and I'm adult enough to know that it's not fair. So I think, right, okay, but I know that in playing a horror game, having that sort of evil being channeled into the game is a good thing.
Yeah, because then you don't channel it into your real life.
Exactly. It's like doing a martial art. It's doing a martial art and getting out there on the mat and beating the shit out of somebody within the rules of that martial art. How good does that feel? It happens to you. You get it done back to you.
When you win, like even if I'm annoyed and I win at Magic the Gathering, it feels good.
Yeah.
To win. And it's like even like I got mad like in the last game where I died. It's something could have took out of him. One of the players that I argued with said some stuff outside the game that I found to be a bit beyond the pale. Now he's not a bad person. I just don't agree with him. And I just said, look, I just was getting frustrated with him, and I just said, look, I'm not. You guys want to do this one thing, I don't want to do it. I'm going to sit this adventure out because I'll just be a Debbie Downer in the game. I'll just get pissed off, and maybe some time away after the defeat will be good. And I'm in a lot better of a mood, and I want to come back. So sometimes it's just good to it's like your Humongous said, just walk away.
When I was doing my motorsport and we built a rally car, it was a converted car. It was a competition car, and when we came to insure it, we went to a specialist company because a lot of the non-specialist companies won't touch them. We went to a specialist company, and we didn't know what sort of quote to expect to make this car road legal, because it had to be road legal in order to be able to drive it between the locations on the events. So we drive to a section of forest, then we'd have to drive on public roads to the next section of forest. It had to be road legal. The quote we were given was minuscule, tiny, and when we competed against some of one of the guys who worked for that company, I had a chat with him. I says, "Why are the quotes so small?" And he basically said, "Because we know that people who do motorsport get all of that frustration that builds up on the roads out on the stages. And when they actually drive on the road, they are safer because they've let the frustration has gone." And I was like, "Oh, I never saw it like that."
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of the same way that people expect like boxers or UFC fighters to be really violent people, but they're actually some of the nicest, most calm and composed people you'll meet because they get all that frustration out during the fight.
It's the same reason why like the big dogs don't bark all the time, but the little chihuahuas do. There's a reason why. Hey, bear.
in the new place.
Oh, you moved, did you, Bear? Didn't realize.
Now, what's all this about big dogs and little dogs?
No, I'm just saying it's why big dogs don't need to prove themselves by barking all the time, but little dogs do. They just don't.
Dogs don't know size. They can't see the size difference between themselves and other things. Dogs perceive all things of equal stature to themselves. Therefore, that's why little dogs will run right up to the biggest dog you've ever seen and start barking at it.
Really? I did not know that.
Size difference.
I did not know that.
Do not apply human behavior patterns to dogs. You will fail every time.
Fair enough.
So
Now,
Bear,
humans, little ones, love to beak off as much as possible because they think that making noise makes them tough. I learned that working in bars.
Mm-hmm.
Bear, you've met me.
Yep.
Sure, what was that, John?
I said, Bear, you've met me. I'm a little guy.
And you like to beak. Oh my God.
Wait, okay, Bear, just out of curiosity, what size are you? Like, what, 6 foot?
What size am I? I like to consider myself fun-sized.
I mean, in terms of height, dude, come on.
I bring
Are you
all the
6 foot?
enjoyment and fun to the party.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3".
I think you're 6'3". Nice. I had a feeling so. The size difference between you and Geek is very noticeable, shall we say.
There's a picture of us on his Discord.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes.
Don't
I'm not that big of this bear.
Don't worry, Geek. When you and I meet up for ClariCon someday, I will be even taller than Bear.
I know you're about 6'5", aren't you? You're about 6'5".
Yep.
Remember that. Just remember one thing, lads. 'Tis not the size of the dog in the fight, 'tis the size of the fight in the dog. That is nothing truer has ever been said by a human other than water is wet.
Yep. Well, there's some people who would dispute that. I'm not joking. I've seen it, and those people are dumb.
I've seen little guys kick ass, and I've seen big guys who can't fight to save their lives.
John,
Yep.
if he grabbed a hold of me, would easily kick my ass.
Oh yeah, he's done judo. You're like a black belt in judo or some shit, right? Yeah. The most I got in judo is like a yellow or fucking whatever belt like a decade ago. John, I'm a full foot taller than him. He kicked the shit out of me.
Not necessarily.
I'm just saying. If
it was a judo contest, yes.
Yeah. It's a street fight.
I would be betting on myself. I'm just saying. I think John might actually kill me. Now, if I spend a couple years doing Muay Thai like I want to, little bit of a different story.
You can do all the martial arts in the world that you want to do. My friend, she was an amazing martial artist. When we sparred, she would always win. She had a back fist like a cobra. And then I saw some people approach her in a bar, and she froze because it was real and it was suddenly happening.
That is true.
This mentality that I studied martial arts, I'm lethal. No, you're not. You're just better trained, but experience is the thing. Like I have friends who do MMA. They do BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're like, "Oh, it's the greatest fighting style ever." I said, "Really? Did they teach you what to do when a man takes a chunk out of your thigh with his teeth?
Nope.
Did they teach you how to defend yourself from a thumb pushing into your ocular cavity until it pops out like a grape? Did they teach you that fun stuff? Because I've seen those things happen in bar fights.
Or what did they teach you how to survive getting stabbed with a broken bottle? Because that shit can happen too. That's not fun.
That's like when I shot competitively. I only ever had one law enforcement person beat me. Just everybody thinks, oh, he's a cop. He's an expert with a gun. No, most of them are dumbasses. It doesn't matter. They just couldn't shoot.
They're police officers are not professional marksmen. They're law enforcement officers.
Oh, nice kitty cat.
Once a year, and that's it.
But I just want to say, Dan, is it because that they're bad, or is it just because you're that good because you love guns so much?
It's a little bit of both, but mainly, like he said, cops only have to shoot or qualify depending on your department. And even then, my daughter now could outshoot them. So
anyway, Brian has invoked Saxius, which means get us back on topic.
Yeah, but evil. This all sounded pretty evil to me.
Yes. So Bear,
we've been discussing insurance companies. They're pretty evil.
Bear, you of course are the author of Heroic. Is there any room for playing evil in Heroic?
We have rules for being villainous.
Excellent.
You should read the rules sometime, John.
Where can you get heroic? I've not heard of this game. What is it?
Ay, fuck.
Brother, have you been living under a rock?
Yeah, I have been.
Even I know what it is, and I know nothing.
If you have got the bingo card with Bear getting frustrated about people shilling heroic and asking to talk about it, then
Well, no, he's not getting mad at shilling heroic. He's getting mad at me asking what it is.
No. I'm tired that I'm talking about heroic yet again. Every fucking time I go on one of these streams, what about heroic? And I'm like, I love you all, but please, I'm more than heroic.
You thought you were safe without Saxius here.
To be fair, I haven't been watching these streams in a while there.
Here, though. No, in Heroic, we have rules for playing villainous characters. We don't recommend it. The game is called Heroic. Obviously, it's about superheroes, not supervillains. But if you want to play it, you can. It's all based around karma choices and things like that. There are specific villainous callings that your character can have, which are like basically raison d'etres. Reason d'etres. I don't know how you say it.
Raison d'etre.
Raison d'etre. That's that.
Thomas
Has a question.
Thomas, basically, Heroic is Bear's modernization of the Marvel superhero system with a lot of extra stuff added to make it more intuitive. But it uses the basic mechanics from Marvel's Fazarip system, the same universal resolution table, but it takes it a big step further.
Is it on drive-through, Bear? Just out of curiosity?
The beta is on drive-through.
Right.
The current version is not, because I'm developing it. Currently, it's under production, and we are developing it, and only the backer kit people get it. But I'm putting the link in the private chat. If John wants to share it with his people, you can go get the beta for pay what you want. It's beta, but it is pretty advanced, and you can.
If I'd known, I would have backed the Kickstarter to help you, man. I really would have. I just
that was in backer kit, and it was over a year ago, and you can still back me. We're setting up a thing where I think I'm going to either be setting up a GoFundMe for people who want to join late and purchase in only on the PDF level for $25.
Nice. Cool, dude.
That'll help us because we got screwed, and I will not go into the details of it, but I will say the economy is a villain. And exchange rates are villains, and the fact that everybody wants to get paid in American funds, no matter what country they fucking live in, really hurts when your dollar's getting down to being worth about 50 cents American.
Oh yeah, like I heard it's like 150 Canadian for every dollar in America.
We're about 140 right now, but we're falling.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's life, man. It's part of being in Canada.
Yeah.
So talking about being evil, how many of you in a D&D type game use the alignment penalties if a player vastly breaks their alignment? Do you go with what it says in the DMG? I mean, Bear, it's not your thing, but
I don't use alignment when I run D&D. I basically tell all the players your behavior will determine how the world sees you, not something on your character sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it works better that way. But if I'm going to use alignments, I'll always use the Palladium alignments instead, because I think they're just a vastly superior system to the 8-point chaos, law, order, good, evil thing.
The main reason I use them in D&D is for magic items that are aligned to certain alignments, or spells, protection from good, protection from evil.
Reverse casting and stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
I have one of my players is a fighter thief. And every time we take prisoners, he wants to kill the shackled prisoners. And, the ultra chaotic neutral magic user in the group's like, dude, I wouldn't do that if I was you. And
why would chaotic neutral do that?
When what happens, I was like,
chaotic neutral is all about freedom.
He's I want to say he's a neutral. The fighter thief is like a straight neutral dwarf. And I had to explain to him, if you do something that is that egregious to your alignment, even if you do not have a declared deity, some deity somewhere is watching you and is going to bitch slap you like nothing you have ever seen.
Absolutely. I firmly agree with that. But I mean, I use alignment, and if someone was egregious, I mean, obviously I would prompt them a little bit beforehand. But if it continued, I would force an alignment change and the penalty involved.
Well, my stance on alignment, Geek, you're fair. We may have to do that debate again at some point on alignment, but my stance is I prefer the 3-prong. It's just my stance. I'm not going to get into it here, but
Law, chaos, and neutrality.
Yeah, and like Brian
or
mentioned,
good, neutral, and evil, if you prefer. But
is a graph with a scatter point. It's not a single spot. It's if the majority of your things average out to be this, then that's what you are.
Yeah, but I'm more of an OD&D guy anyway, so I need to read more of one.
The 8-point, the law, order, chaos, good, neutral, evil thing. You need to understand that the law, neutral, chaotic. That is how you see society and civilization, and interpersonal relationships in a hierarchical sense. The good, evil, neutrality is your morals. It's your own personal morality at that point in time. And that's what I mistake of understanding what's going on. They think chaotic means it doesn't. It means you're not into structure. You're not into order. You're not into being told what to do. You do what you want, right?
I know that's how Gygax oriented, but just the way that I do it is more in line with how like ancient peoples would have viewed like cosmology. That like there's like what I said about being good is basically how in tune with the logic of reality are you? And chaos is essentially when you turn away from the logic inherent in the universe, essentially.
Well, that's not.
But
what
I know most people
mean, though. That's the thing.
I know.
A whole other system at that point in time.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and in the game the OD&D inspired game that I'm designing, that's very much how the cosmology works. Really? But if I were running a more traditional D&D game, what?
Someone has a man crush on me. That's disturbing. Let's just high five. Okay?
What the hell? Wow. Okay, that's
strictly platonic here. Okay.
Yeah, totally. Holy hell.
And Valentine's
I was
Day
like, you guys were
the only
giggling, and I was like, what the? And then, Jesus, I don't know, but yeah, if I were running a more traditional D&D cosmology, yeah, I would agree with that's how Gygax oriented, and I would follow that, but that's just not how my games typically go. But I know that I'm the minority in how on my views on alignment, which is fine. I've made peace with the fact that most people. Was that IQ?
Bear was having a catastrophe.
Oh no,
that was me picking up the cat. That wasn't a catastrophe. The catastrophe is when he jumps on me.
Yeah, it was very appalling.
Sorry,
Okay, who just made the pun? Was that you?
It was him and me. It was both of us.
That was a catastrophe.
Take your puns.
Oh, puns are great. I love puns. They're awesome.
Right. Anyway, so
anyone else picked up on us discussing moral quandaries with intellectual quandary being in the room?
I know.
Bear, I'm throwing you these questions because I've thrown these questions to everybody else.
Okay, cool.
Have you run a game, or have you played an evil cat? I know you don't play characters very often.
I played one time in an evil campaign as a player. Yes.
Oh right. Have you ever run a game?
The closest I've ever come the closest I've ever come to running an evil game was one time my Marvel players wanted to play villains, and I said, "Are you sure you want to play villains?" And they said, "Yeah, we want to play villains." And this was the '90s, and I said, "You understand? Superhero comics are about the good guys, not the bad guys, right?" Yeah, no, but we realize. I said, "You understand? I'm not going to play the bad guys against the good guys coming after you as stupid. You got that, right?" Yeah, we'll take them down. It'll be great. Okay.
I love that superhero convention. Good guys win. We could take the superheroes. Like, You do know that Lex Luthor loses every time he fights Superman, right?
Well, to continue my story, if that's okay with you, DK, what happened next was they basically were in their hideout after pulling a big heist and having all the money, and then the Batman analog, who's called Bloodhawk, showed up to take them down. One guy. And it went about as well as you would think for those fucking villains. The best was my buddy Renzo was playing a guy called Sponge, who was just this big fat fucking guy who could absorb kinetic energy. And he eventually got so insane, he was like, I just take all the money I can and I shove it in the folds of my fat and I just start walking out the fucking door. And by the time he got outside, he got taken down by a laser dart. But it was just like they just lost it. They had no cohesion. They just went every man for themselves, because that's what happens with villains. If you are playing evil, if you're playing bad, you are playing selfish, because that is what evil is. It is a selfish philosophy. Therefore, I'm only going to protect Halakar if it benefits me. If Halakar getting eaten by the land shark benefits me, well, fuck you, Halakar. Nothing personal.
What is that land shark, a bullet or a bulletti or a boulet?
No, I said land shark. I'm not referring to some bizarre D&D monster that I got given shit for calling a boulet.
Land sharks from Candygrams, though, if I remember right.
Yes. Candygram from Mongo. So for me, play good guys. If you're going to play bad guys, you better play smart. Otherwise, you're getting your ass beat.
Of course, because actions have consequences. And if you create an evil party, no matter what game you're playing, you should expect consequences from society. Because society is not going to tolerate your shenanigans.
Nope.
Because society cannot function where there are people threatening the structure of that society. And that's what the evil people do. And thus, in an evil game, you've got to play extra careful as players to not reveal yourselves. And this is where we get a bit of a sort of a problem, where I play evil, I can go murder, whatever. No, you can't. If you see stats in a game adventure that states somebody is evil, do not play them as a murderous bastard, because they wouldn't have survived to the age of 25, 30, whatever, by being a pure murderous bastard. They'd have been clever about it. That is the key. You've got to be extra clever. If you're going to play that murderous bastard, you've got to be extra clever.
And against the cult of the reptile gods, the cultists don't have that tattooed across their forehead.
No.
I mean, if you see a neutral evil wizard, and he actually is leveled, like in first edition has the title of arch wizard, he's not going to be stupid. He's not going to be impulsive. He wouldn't get to 11th level if he was.
Yeah. And that's why I personally believe evil
who achieved great things and then became dumb once they were in power.
Yeah, okay, all right, fine.
Overconfidence that comes with power, sir.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
What was I gonna say? I personally believe that to classify a character as evil, it's not so much the actions, it's the motivation that's more important. It's what's going on in their head. It's why are they doing what they are doing? What is their ultimate goal? So I believe I made a video a while back how characters of certain alignments would react to a beggar outside of an inn. And people disagreed with me when I said that the lawful evil would give the beggar a small amount of money, but would ensure that they were seen doing it and would make a show of doing it because it would advance them in society.
Yeah, it's operating within the social law.
Yeah.
Basically, the social contract states you help beggars. Well, I'm going to make sure everyone sees how much I help beggars.
No, that has nothing to do with alignment, gentlemen. That has everything to do with ego. There are lawful people out there who are just signing little contracts and then sticking to the letter of the law and then making sure they fuck everybody over for their own benefit. It doesn't have to, again, you got to be careful that alignment does not equate ego. And that is a big mistake. You see all those alignment charts that come out with all the characters on them. They're equating ego a lot of the time, or personality, as opposed to actual morality and behaviors.
But there, though, the act of giving the beggar something is a good act, but the motivation behind it is one of self-serving.
Right, but that has nothing to do with alignment.
I think that does. I think that does have something to do with alignment.
We'll agree to disagree on that one, buddy. But hey, Joker's here, so now we can, hear the English language get massacred.
Yes.
Oh wow! I didn't realize we could get up to 7. God, nice.
I could have up to 10 because I've got a paid account on this thing.
Ah, right.
I think the most I've ever had is 8. I've never used the 10.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
I had planned to use the 10 for a big game of Werewolf Mafia. I've never managed to get enough people to be available to play it. So
what is Werewolf Mafia? That sounds really fun.
No, it's Werewolf.
I love Bear's just shocked reaction. He just mutes.
When you are a trainer in corporate environments, you will play the fuck out of Werewolf in classes of 30 people when you have nothing else to do and you want everybody to shut the fuck up. So it's a really great game for that. But as a result, 15 years in that industry, I've run an awful lot of fucking Werewolf games like that.
I think it's a great game, full stop. I think it's a great game.
Well,
Daniel, just so you know, when you're playing a game of Werewolf like that, it is not an excuse to whip out your 45 with silver bullets.
No. Yes, it would depend on the individual match. Yes. So just for those who don't know what Werewolf Mafia is, there is a TV series at the moment called The Traitors, which is based on it. But the game itself, you have a big group of people, of which a small number of them are the bad guys. They are the mafia, the werewolves, or however you frame the game. They know
the imposters.
They are the imposters. They know who their fellow bad guys are. They are informed at the start of the game. Typically, in a group of about 12, you'd have 3 bad guys. The other 9 people are all good guys, but they are not told anything. They only know that they themselves is good. They don't know anything about anybody else. You then go through day and night phases, whereby during the day phase, everybody votes for one person in the game to be eliminated. And everyone votes. During the night phase, the mafia get together to kill one of the good guys. And then we get a day phase again. And the job is for the good guys to try and work out who the bad guys are. Who are the ones working together?
Oh, so it's basically who done it, basically.
Yes. But there was a small group. It's the informed minority against the uninformed majority.
Oh, that's evil. That's evil.
It's a great game.
I'm pretty sure if for any point the mafia either equal or outnumber the civilians, the mafia automatically win.
They have won by then because they could then coordinate the voting to make sure they win. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But if you accidentally vote all the mafia out, then they're kind of screwed.
Well, if you vote out, the idea is the good guys need to try and work together. Who is working against you? Who don't you trust? Who is looking shifty? Who is being too quiet? Who's
being too loud?
Who's being too loud? It's all that sort of stuff. You've got to try and work out from people's personality. Are they acting normally? And there is currently a television reality show where they all live together in a castle, and they'll work out who the good guys and bad guys are. It's great. I hate reality TV normally, but I think that show is wonderful.
What's the show called?
Traitors.
Traitors.
There's 4 different versions.
The British version
is the best.
The British version is the best one because it's members of the public rather than people who are trying to further a career on TV.
So it's basically like an actual show rather than being like every other reality TV show that
Yeah.
exists.
It's a good. It's good. It's good. It's yeah.
It's Cluedo with evil.
Yes. Yes. Right. Hello, Nerd. So, what else have I got here? Right. Here is one important point for me. I have never run an evil campaign. Never. I think I would struggle to run an evil campaign over a length of time.
I mean,
However, I thoroughly
sorry.
enjoy evil one-shots.
I was about to say Miss Jews, I would argue, is kind of evil.
Yes, but it was a one-shot.
Mm.
And I think evil one-shots are wonderful as a palate cleanser. Do any of you sort of have any opinions as to whether playing evil characters is better in a one-shot or a campaign? If so, share them.
I don't think you can do an evil campaign.
Like,
You don't think you can at all?
I think it's going to fall apart.
I mean, I've played I haven't played many like D&D campaigns long enough for this to be no problem. But like I've played quite a lot of video games in my time, and just of how I play, I don't like playing evil characters generally, and eventually it just feels wrong to do play evil runs in certain games. It just doesn't feel good. I don't like doing it. We kill innocent NPCs. I just don't like doing it.
What about an evil one-shot?
An evil one-shot.
Knowing you would not have to play that character again.
I would be against it, honestly. If they're since the consequences are kind of self-contained. It was just in this small. Go for it.
As discussed earlier, look, evil doesn't necessarily mean murder hobo, right?
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't.
Like what we did in Miss Jews wasn't evil because of all the murdering we did, because we didn't really do that much murdering.
Yeah.
It was more the intent behind the reason why we were doing what we were doing.
Mm.
But I would argue in that game you weren't really playing with any sort of evil intent. You were playing to survive, and I think playing to survive is neither good nor evil. It's just a natural condition.
True, but some of the things that we did to achieve our goals,
were morally very dubious. Yeah.
I would say there would come a point that even in the name of survival, that there is a point where you can take things too far. You know.
Yeah, as Buck did twice.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Manfred has a point here.
Violin.
Senior.
What is evil? Isn't it just life spelled backwards? Don't we all want to?
So here's your problem with an evil campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your players are going to think, hee 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 hee, we're evil, hee 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 hee, and one of your players actually is in the real world and knows how to think in an evil way, in a selfish,
manipulative
way. And they're either going to exploit all the other players to their benefit or slowly remove any threats from the game that present themselves to them, preferably by having other players do it for them if they're lawful evil diabolical types. That is not conducive to a good game. Eventually it's just going to become people mad at each other. It's all fun to play with darkness. People who never see darkness think it's fun to play with darkness. People who have lived and experienced actual fucking darkness do not play with darkness because they know what it's about. Mm-hmm. And that's a very hard thing for people to understand sometimes. So if you're going to do a one-off, make it lighthearted evil, please. Please. Otherwise, you can see friendships end over this kind of shit.
There was one point I raised earlier about, I don't know if you probably weren't here, and that was to do with DMs getting to play the evil guys, and quite how satisfying it can be sometimes to be pretty diabolical as a dungeon master, keeper, referee, whatever you want to call yourself. Do you feel the same way, that it is satisfying to let that out as the DM and be that bad NPC? Put yourself in the mind of that bad NPC, because I do.
Because I want my players to win. I want my players to succeed. I want to make it hard for them, but I want them to win and succeed. If I'm going to start playing evil the way I have all the resources of the campaign at my disposal, I'm the GM. There are literally no limits on me. There are no restrictions.
If you're portraying a villain, though, putting yourself into the mind of that villain, and have that villain commit vile deeds, I find that quite cathartic.
Yeah, I would imagine you would, but again, people who have dealt with real evil don't find catharsis in playing with evil. In fact, we find catharsis in playing with goodness. We find catharsis through seeing a world that isn't dark and fucked up and evil. And also remember what Christopher Lee said about playing evil characters, right? When he got asked, how is it you play such good evil characters? He goes, well, first of all, they don't think they're evil. They think they're right. And that's the true evil, is doing whatever it takes because you believe your way is the correct way. And everyone will eventually just see that you were right, despite the fact that you're maybe committing murder and atrocities and all these horrible things. It's not something I like to play with. It's not something I like to get my head into. I don't want to go to that place in my mind where I can exist like that. So even when I'm running evil villains, they're fallible.
I mean, my point I made earlier is throughout the day, I do my best to be a nice person. I like being happy and friendly to people around me, but there are always little frustrations that build up, little annoyances that twist in my mind during the day, which I don't want to let out to my loved ones, to customers, work colleagues, and all of that. Thus, I find being the bad guys, playing the part of twisted bad guys at my Tuesday night Call of Cthulhu game, to be a bit of an outlet for that. And I do feel I feel at peace at the end of that game.
Yeah, because you're exercising the darkness in your soul that you will not exercise normally. That's the point. It's very cathartic for you in that case in point. John, I love you like a play cousin, but I will never tell you the things I've done in this life that I'm not pleased that I had to do in those situations. But I did them because I had to, because I chose to, because I felt they were the right thing to do in that situation, regardless of the moral compass applied to them. But as a result of that, I will never take pleasure in playing.
Yeah,
I had a role one time recently in the last 10 years where I had to play a serial killer, a real serial killer. And I had to research him for the role.
Who was it?
And then I had to find a place in my head where I could be that guy. And it disturbed me. It wasn't something afterwards I was like, that was awesome. It was afterwards I was like, Jesus Christ, to know that I could think like that, to put myself in a position.
Go on, tell us who he was.
No, we're good.
He was real, was it? He was a real guy.
Well, he was real. And he was the worst kind of serial killer. He preyed on children.
Oh, Jesus.
And to have to play that as a character believably, you have to be able to find the place in your head where that character exists in your soul. And that's not easy to do, and it's not easy to come back from. It took me, I was fucked up for about a month after that role. I was in a really weird place.
I can imagine.
Sorry, getting a little heavy. Let's get a little light. Evil campaigns are awesome because you can play clerics of Asmodeus.
Believe it or not, that's what Halakar basically said. He did. He played what was it, Thurisdan?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think that the main takeaway.
Trying to raise.
What was that?
Is that the one the Scarlet Brotherhood's trying to raise?
I think so. Yeah. But no, I think the main takeaway from both of you is that I think what Geek, when he says evil, he just means like, a comedy sketch, like Monty Python type of evil, not like I harm innocent women and children kind of evil.
Well, is he though? That's the question, right? If it's just mustache twirling evil, go watch Titanic. Billy Zane's character is mustache twirling evil. I will do what I need. This little girl, I will use her to get on this boat. It's like
exactly.
Bullwinkle with Boris Badenoff than watch Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. But that's like the same level of playing your heroic as "Stop there, villain! I won't let you do that." It's like it's not. If that's the level of role playing you want to do, well, have fun.
I
Role playing a little more in depth.
Iman and Joker are familiar with some of the evil I have presented to them in recent games, and it's not the mustache twirling evil. It's
Really dark.
It's a lot.
No,
worse.
it is very much the stuff that sticks with you after the session and makes you think, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah, maybe it's just my naivete, but the kind of role playing that my guys do is more. Because I run more of a gamist kind of game, so the role play is a little lighter and it's a bit more screwball.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it. You know,
Well, I mean,
we mostly
Their
focus on
language is
dungeon.
a deep analysis of morality and society and chaos and how how does that fit into a screwball game?
Well, because most of the cosmology doesn't really come up all that often. Like it's there for like the clerics to deal abstractly and just to be like, look, you have tenets and there are certain things you can and can't do, but outside of that, it doesn't really come up all that often. You know, and it's mostly for like game balance, like for like Halacar magic items or for spell stuff. You know, but if I was doing like a game based on Trench Crusade, then it's like, yeah, you guys are never going to play evil because the kind of shit I'd have you do as the scions of hell, I am not comfortable with you doing because it gets dark wicked fast. I'm like, nah, I don't, no. And I would have, if they insist, I'd be like, no, guys, I'm not, because the stuff you'd have to do, I'm not comfortable seeing or talking about. It's too, no.
There have been
People will say fade to black on a romantic scene, but they want to play out the gritty details of murder.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no.
You know? That's a weird thing for me. I can't get my brain around that.
No, yeah, I'd be like both. I don't want to hear how what you do with the knife to the cadaver. I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. Just keep that to yourself.
I think it was Gygax that was saying, when you're describing a torture chamber in your adventure, you don't have to go into gritty detail about what everything does. You just say a couple items that are there and let the players come up in their mind what's happening.
Yeah.
You find some shards of broken glass and a feather.
Or like a goat and a rusty hook, and then you let. Oh God! Halacar, why? Why?
God.
All I said was a couple of random items. Whatever you come up with in your mind, I can show you Rorschach tests too.
No thanks.
Nice try, buddy. Nice try.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
I know the industry that Halacar works in, so I can vouch for the fact that
I don't want to know what industry he works in. I don't want to know.
Mental health.
Oh, okay.
Now, what would have made that worse was to say a feather, a long, thin glass stick, and a very small hammer.
Now, so you don't. If you can fit both your hand, you don't need a hammer. But
yeah, well.
Stop! Please stop! Please stop! My mind is going to dark places, and I don't want them to go there. Please.
Well, you are the Dark Knight of Hibernia, after all.
But Dark Knight is in the classroom from RPG.
Okay, if you want to know real evil is in the chat. It's a nerd's nerd. She's evil on a whole other level. You don't even see that evil coming until it happens.
I mean, I will give
one line
John credit where it's due.
Was the Saxius talking about the interrogation where they just brought the horse into the tent?
Oh God, what were you saying? Intellectual. IQ? What were you saying? I didn't hear what you said.
John, I'll give John credit where it's due because there is some mustache twirly evil in there, but it is balanced out with the like, oh my God, that's actually really fucked up kind of evil. And each place has its like part. You know what I mean? Like each type of evil has its moment where it will rear its ugly head.
I was going to say, with it being the Orient Express, if it's not out of place, it all also fits with what what's happened along the way as well. It's not like you suddenly showed his face and here's evil. It's kind of slowly built up, and
I think
we met him.
The importance is consistency.
Yeah.
And if I was lurching too much between extremes, it wouldn't work. But yes, I try to mix them, but I try to mix them in such a way as it works.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, evil is a societal construct, whether we like it or not. What is evil to an Englishman may not be evil to a rainforest dweller in the Amazon, and vice versa. And vice versa. So it's all well and good to sit here and pontificate about evil and evil campaigns and all that kind of stuff, but we're very much applying a Western culture Saturday morning cartoon qualification when we do that.
One of the first things you've got to do is you've got to lay down at the start of the game the expectations of what does the world expect, what's the game expect,
and what the players are okay with.
What the players are okay with, how far are we going to take this, and what does the DM want from the players from the game.
I would also just say as well, what's the most conducive to fun? I think that's the most important.
Mushrooms are the most conducive to fun.
Sorry, say again, Bear?
Mushrooms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I've
roleplayed on magic mushrooms, and it was a fucking hoot.
Oh, God.
Try that. I mean, what?
What?
And we played Cyberpunk. It was amazing.
Whoa.
I don't know. I would just say, like getting too down.
Voices there. Ooh.
Just getting down into the nitty gritty of just the more dark side of evil. It's just, if most people aren't interested in that, just don't do it. I use most of my monsters as functional obstacles, really. You know, I don't need to get into all the gritty details of why they're evil. It's like, ontologically speaking, in the world, you're facing the orcs because, as far as they're concerned, they're evil. They will always be evil. Now, you can negotiate with them in the short term, but they're your obstacles to get what you want. Don't think too much about it. It's not a big deal. Yeah. That's all.
Correct. I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, playing more horror games, I will say it has allowed me to experiment with darker themes, darker tones. It's probably not a good thing for a good thing to sort of show off about my character, in that I seem to have taken to running Call of Cthulhu a lot more than running a lot more lighter games. I do tend to lean into some quite nasty stuff in my games, but I like to let the game follow its natural course, and I wouldn't throw what I do at the characters if it didn't fit the game, and if I didn't think the players themselves could handle it. You've got to be responsible. You've got to be responsible. It's all about communication. It's all about communication. If any of my players were uncomfortable with something we were doing, I mean, I don't believe in the whole concept of the X card. I believe in the concept of talking like an adult.
Often letting people fall in love with the characters before they even...
Oh, I do that to torment. That's me being evil. That's me being evil.
Well, and everybody has triggers.
No, that's not him as a GM or a DM. That's just him.
If you're playing with people you kind of understand what bothers your friends, but that's something you always need to be kind of careful of with others. I mean, in my group, I've got a gentleman whose wife miscarried 3 times, and they've been really, really trying to have a kid. So things where children die, I won't put that in if he's
Yeah.
in that group.
That is completely fair.
That's just being respectful. That's just
That's
being
very
adult about things. Yeah.
respectable.
It's about not being an asshole.
Yeah.
And if I knew that about one of my players, I would be careful. I would expect the players not to be frivolous when coming up with things that they don't want in the game.
Yeah.
Just because you might be a little bit squeamish about spiders doesn't mean I'm not going to throw spiders in.
Yeah.
But something that has real world gravitas, such as 3 miscarriages and desperate for a child, yes, you do. You approach it with common sense.
But what if the person's arachnophobic? That's not an irrational fear. They're not like, oh, spiders make me squeamish. They have a irrational emotional reaction to spiders.
Well,
should you not be sensitive to that as well? Should you not be considerate of that as well?
I mean, they find that very different to.
Because you're not afraid of spiders. Therefore, for you, it's not the same thing.
I haven't lost a child either.
Exactly, but the thing is you can, as a mammal, with a neomammalian cortex, you can feel empathy towards the person for the child. But because you think spiders are tiny little things that don't terrify you, you dismiss the other person's fear. So that makes you evil in their eyes.
And what the consensus as well with that is the spiders are mechanical in that you have to fight against them. In most games where spiders come up, they are threats to be dealt with. Whereas a miscarriage type of thing is more of a, like, I'm not trying to be flippant, but setting dressing.
You're creating a false equivalency. I'm not saying they're the same thing. I'm saying trauma is trauma. And you need to be respectful of all trauma if you're going to bring trauma as a respect thing in. You don't get to weigh people's traumas and decide which is more impactful than the other. You're not God. You're not their father confessor. You don't get there to make that call for them. So if someone said to you, hey man, I'm really fucking freaked out by spiders or snakes or dogs or whatever it is. Could we not have these in the campaign, please? There's nothing wrong with you saying, you know what? I'll skip that for this campaign out of respect for you. Just like I'll skip child murder or miscarriage or serial killers or, school shootings or whatever other thing I'm going to tiptoe around. There's nothing wrong with tiptoeing around. Now, I'm not saying you need to have X cards and all that fun stuff. I'm just saying have a moment. Talk with your friends. Find out what bothers them.
Well, because in the before I knew he was going to be in my group, when I was making the initial part of my campaign where the flood's first happening, one of the things that happens is one of the families that lives on the actual bank of the river, their child gets swept away and drowns. And that leads to certain things that family does in dealing with their grief later on. Well, I knew this might be problematic in the group, so I made an opportunity where if the party does things right, they can actually rescue that child from the river. And if they do so successfully, then the family, God, I don't know what they gave them some, again, 0 level characters with absolutely nothing. They gave them like a pair of high, hard riding boots and a good set of leather gloves.
I just want to address Squirrel. Squirrel Hermit says, dismiss irrational fear is not evil. You consider it, but not evil. It's spoken like an evil person to me, Squirrel.
We do know that squirrels are evil.
Squirrels are the epitome of evil.
Especially red squirrels.
How dare you, sir?
No, the Canadian ones. Those massive jet black ones they have in Canada.
Those massive jet black ones can't sneak in through little tiny cracks in the venting of your roof and eat through the wiring in your attic like those little red ones can.
Well, maybe I'm biased, but the Irish do not have that problem with the red squirrels. We have problems with the American gray squirrels because you fuckers introduced them and are killing all the red squirrels.
As they should.
No, fuck you. Anglos introducing an invasive species to deal with the native Irish. Tale as old as fucking time. I won't have it.
Yeah, but you guys introduced yourselves to all our fucking cultures and you're killing
us. And you know what? You have had a net benefit from the Irish. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
They kill all their own potatoes, so then they come over here and try to grow them on our.
That was no legit. That was actually British interference. That was actually a lot of the starvation happening was by British interference.
It's so easy to wind them up, eh? You just go,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Where tiddly potatoes?
You can hear how animated he's getting, just slapping his desk.
I want you to know that in Ireland it is considered a great fucking injustice.
But I do if it helps, I do like Lucky Charms.
It's like watching you get riled up.
Look. I'm called the Dark Knight of Hibernia. It's my shtick at this point. I might as well lean into the brand.
Did you know? Well, people from Canada might. There are state employees whose job it is to shoot squirrels off the Mackinac Bridge between the upper and lower peninsula of Michigan. They're to shoot these damn squirrels.
Yeah, I believe it.
Because if a squirrel runs out in traffic and somebody tries to swerve and they take a 200-foot dive off the side of a bridge into Lake Superior, it's not a good thing.
Oh yeah, no. If it's a human or a squirrel, fuck the squirrel. Humans every time.
I've been on the Mackinac Bridge.
Sorry,
And
Squirrel Hermit says anglers are an invasive species.
I apologize, but squirrels make a damn fine stew. I'm just
Yes,
I
they
have
do.
no doubt. I have no doubt. And them's good eatings, bro. Them's good eatings.
a little rabbit, a pressure cooker, some carrots, onions, and potatoes, and you got a meal.
Yeah, no.
I agree.
I'm not a hillbilly. I don't need to eat squirrel. I'm good.
You're only if you eat the roadkill ones. If you get them yourself, it's a whole different thing.
I don't give a shit. They're squirrels. They're disgusting, annoying fucking creatures.
They taste like chicken.
And they deserve, every time a squirrel gets run over, it deserves it.
Dan's dog agrees with you, Bear. Squirrels deserve it. Where's the squirrel? Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
I literally had a female friend of mine who was so into protecting animals, a squirrel ran into traffic and then stopped, like they do, because they're idiots. And she ran into traffic to save the squirrel. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to get hit by you, but the squirrel, there's a billion, they outnumber us. There's more squirrels in Canada than there are humans. What the fuck are you doing?
I can vouch for that, the amount I saw in Sean's back garden.
Rats with first fuzzy tails. Yep.
Yes, yes. And
They spread diseases just like rats do. So, screw them.
Yes.
They make a mess out of my bird feeders too.
I believe it.
Although I have seen blue jays kill squirrels. They don't mess around.
Really?
Oh yeah, blue jays are mean.
Huh. Fair enough.
So we have got on to the epitome of evil on this stream.
Squirrels.
Squirrels, yes.
Squiggles.
So if you want to play an evil game,
Just get here.
if you want to play an evil game, then draw up a squirrel race for your characters to play, and then you can get away with being evil.
It'll be Grim Squirrel and their Squirrel Army.
Actually,
And
they do have a race. I just can't remember the name of them.
There has to be a squirrel race in Gamma World.
There is in D&D. I just can't remember the name. They dress like Robin Hood.
God, I remember seeing that somewhere.
Freedom for squirrels.
That sounds like something out of the Monstrous Compendiums for 2nd edition. The big 3-ring binders where you'd buy all the expansions for it.
Probably.
Going back to the whole phobia thing, I am very squeamish. I hate the sight of blood. Absolutely hate the sight of blood. If I think blood's going to be spurted everywhere on a TV show, I'm like, it does. And I have to sort of steel myself to prepare myself for it. I won't watch hospital dramas, anything like that. Can't stand it. But when it comes to books, my imagination, RPGs, there's not a problem. So I guess I'm just weird.
It's just a visual trigger, that's all.
Probably is.
Like I can't eat coconut. The texture of coconut makes my skin crawl. But I can look at a coconut, I can see someone eat coconut, and I don't go, oh. It's just, it depends on how you're inputting it. So for you, it's a visual.
Yeah.
Ain't no bang.
We had a movie I have seen earlier, Halakar.
You mean you finally watched Princess Bride?
No, I haven't seen that.
No, not Which one did you watch, John?
Well, I've seen Falling Down. That was mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay.
Great movie.
I need to watch that film.
Well, and that was, do evil people realize they're evil? He didn't. At the very end, he asked, "So, am I the bad guy?"
And I'm the bad guy?
Yeah.
Exactly.
When did that happen? I did everything they told me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to show that movie every now and then in our anger management group sessions.
Like, to be fair, he just
Economically viable.
Yeah.
That is what they have told me. I am not economically viable. Like that fucking thing is amazing. Such a good movie. Such a good movie.
Yeah.
And it did so poorly when it came out because people were expecting it to be a Death Wish 4. He's just going to go shoot up everything. And it's like, no, this is a psychodrama, people.
And can bad people do things that are theoretically good when he tore apart the Nazi in the Army surplus store?
Exactly.
What he did to the gangbangers.
They were picking on him. They drew blades on him, and he just beat the shit out of them with a baseball bat.
Well, they actually kind of did it to themselves at the end. He just made a phone call.
That's a waste of a perfectly good Impala.
Man, I love me a Pimpala.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, go ahead.
Now, John, you probably never watched any of them, but the line between good and evil, I got sick of it after a few seasons. But The Walking Dead, the things the quote unquote good guys had to do to survive.
Yeah, the first 3 series were good.
Once the governor came on, it just kind of started going downhill, and it never recovered.
Well, let me ask you
it really took a dive with Negan.
But was Negan really evil? He was.
What was it? Bear wants to say something.
He was protecting his people. He was just a little ruthless about it, but no. Rick did the same thing. Rick and them got paid to walk into Negan's camp unprovoked and whack all his people.
I never saw any of it, so I don't know.
So
I stopped watching that show after the second season when I predicted the entire second season from the first episode and went, okay, this is shit. I'm not wasting time with this anymore. Here's a real world question. Is this evil? World War I, trench warfare. Canadians, we're so kind, we're so charming in war, threw cans of soup over the lines to the Nazis. Not Nazis, the Kaiser's people, the Germans. When they would put up a stick with a can requesting more, we'd throw over cans with grenades in them. Was that evil?
They did the same thing in Firefly.
Well, they got it from us.
It was effective. I would say yes, but it's war.
No, it's war.
That's like.
Were they combatants? Were they in a theater of war? Were they the enemy? Yes, and yes.
Okay.
There's a gun.
But now it's a war crime.
Hang on. Conversely, we all know about the soccer games in No Man's Land, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Canadians lured them over and then murdered them. Was that evil?
Yeah, that's worse. Yes.
If they first gave the impression that they would have safe conduct for it and then flip the script, possibly. But again, that's the enemy. You're in war in a combat zone. The idea is to make sure there end up being less enemy than there are of you by the end of the confrontation.
All I'm going to say is if I ever unfortunately get into war, I know for a fact I'm going to do heinous stuff to survive. If it's the kind of urban war that we deal with now, the one thing I will do if I live through it, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to confession. That is the first thing I'm going to do. That's it.
Like Patton said, no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by...
He made the other bastard die for his. Yeah.
Yeah. War is a difficult
Somebody asked about... Brian asked about mustard gas.
Jesus.
I think that was because the amount of suffering it caused before death. I mean, something that's a quick kill, they're pretty good with, but something that's going to, linger and linger and linger gets that's where.
Oh, I know, Manfred. I know, Manfred. I know. I'd be dead within the first 15 hours.
But yes, it is. I think it's to do with suffering. If you cause unnecessary suffering when there are much more effective options which don't cause suffering,
Like,
then
if you don't know what mustard gas does the first time you use it, okay, fair enough. But if you keep using it and you know what it does, then I'm like, no.
I need to go to.
Well,
I
yeah,
need to go
once
to the
is a
toilet 'cause my
mistake, twice
beers
is
have
a
come through me.
choice.
So bear with me.
Because I mean, submarine. A submarine sinks a ship. There are lots of survivors from the ship floating in the water. You can only fit so many people in the submarine. Do you leave them there to drown and get eaten by sharks, or do you machine gun them down in the water?
What was it again? I was reading comments. Say that one more time.
I said you're on a submarine. It sinks a ship. There are survivors from that ship floating in the water, but you can only hold so many people in your submarine. Do you leave them floating in the water to drown or get eaten by sharks, or do you machine gun them?
I would machine gun them.
Keep them for extra food, he says.
Jesus, no.
Or do you signal and say, hey, whatever nation's ship was sunk here, thereby giving away your position and possibly having your whole ship and crew be killed? What is the good outcome from that?
I would say the good is to do the best you can. That's it. That's all you can do.
Who defines what's the best?
Yeah, yes, Slan, I agree.
Oh yeah, because the imaginary man in the sky. Okay, Seraphis, I'm not even going to respond to that. So if you don't believe nothing, Seraphis, if you don't believe, that's fine.
Yeah, we're not proselytizing here.
I'm just saying this is what I would do.
Yep.
I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying that's what I would do. So.
And DK, I have a little different way I would do it, but yeah, it would be the same thing for me.
Yeah, you don't have to believe as I believe. I would prefer if you did, but if you don't, that's fine, because I could be wrong. So, but look, war is hell, and that's it. Sometimes it's necessary. Most of the times, it isn't. So,
how many wars have you fought in?
None, and I hope I never have to.
I think only people who have fought wars get to have opinions on wars, or people who have survived wars or gone through wars. I think the rest of us need to shut the fuck up and not act like we know better. I know what it's like to turn on my tap and get fresh drinking water every morning. I don't have the right to judge someone who lives somewhere where they can't and does whatever they do to make sure their children have something to drink. Right? This is the dangerous slope of morality. Our morality can only come from our own experiences or our own pontifications and knowledges and readings and what have you. And as a result of that, we will judge and we will condemn and we will apply our own moral filters to it, right? And we have to be very careful because it can piss off a lot of people. Now, DK, you're Christian, clearly, from what you just said.
As I'm trying to be.
I'm not.
I know.
But I left. Do my morals have to be in line with yours for me to be moral? Well, according to your religion, they do. According to your church, they do. So we're in that same boat. And we have to be very careful about these things because there is a little piece of that book that we all read that says, judge not lest ye be judged.
That's not
what I know.
That's
well,
not
well, I mean, was
that Helikar?
I said, that's not what it says. You forgot the second half of the sentence. Judge not unjustly, lest you be judged by the same measure.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, that's a really fancy way of saying the exact same thing.
No, because you can judge, you just have to do it justly.
Well, who defines what is justly at that point in time? So once again, we're getting into a book telling us what is just that was written by desert people.
Okay, let's just, to be fair, keep this to the...
Hang on, I'm making a point if you don't mind, DK. Let me finish making my point. Instead of us talking about the morality of all these things, which is the danger of evil, and discussing the merits of evil or the non-merits of it, why don't we all just say we can only judge from our own perspective, our own experiences, and the way we were programmed, brought up, trained, read, deciphered, discovered, whatever the case may be. And therefore, what I think is evil may not be what Halagar thinks is evil, may not be what John thinks is evil, may not be what DK, IQ, Joker, or Daniel down at the end. So this is really just mental masturbation to keep going down this train too far. It's just John being the little chaos monkey that he is, seeing how riled up he can get people, and then gleefully giggling in his little troll cave in the attic.
You know what is evil? Because we are going to change the topic. Because chat are right. It's too, I mean, I go away for a wee and I come back and everyone's talking about religion. You know what is evil? And
What's that?
this is milk.
You feel milk is evil.
No, it categorically is evil. It causes pain and
For
suffering.
you.
And cheese.
For you.
All milk or
For
just
you.
cow milk?
Well, I mean, milk can't think. So, again, go back
No,
to the intent.
it's evil. No, it's evil. It causes pain and suffering, and it makes people around me suffer.
And it's a big, smelly duty head, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So
Sure.
the milk's not evil. Your choice to consume it around others is.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't choose to consume it.
You do.
I'm good because I avoid it.
But is it all milks or just cow milk? I mean, does
Anything,
goat milk and-
anything with lactose in it. You haven't experienced true evil till you've sat near me about an hour after I've consumed lactose inadvertently.
I've got a friend that does that same thing with any food he eats. He used to love before games to eat big, thick, greasy, deep fried onion rings and hard boiled eggs just to see how many of us he could make leave the room.
So we have pontificated on the topic of evil characters and playing evil and all that sort of stuff for the last 2 hours and 40 minutes. Does anyone have anything else to add? Any questions in chat? Anyone? Anything else? I mean, I'm getting people off the topic of world religious text, Brian. Don't you worry.
Anybody who's playing or listening to my first ever game, you get to tell me whether you think I'm evil or not.
Yeah.
Probably not evil enough.
Just remind us of when that first game will be.
The 22nd of February.
22nd of
Nice.
February. 17 days till now, and
But more importantly, this Saturday, John.
What? Yes.
What's going on this Saturday?
Don't say you've forgotten.
Forgotten what?
No, not you, Bear, John.
What's going on, John?
Codex
Oh, good.
Albana.
That's
What's that?
right.
Where I get a chance to play my. He's completely not evil. I mean, my character's not evil in the slightest. He's just a bit of a dick.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, you know, the Codex Albana campaign, the one that's been going for, a year,
What's
on and
that?
off.
Please explain to me what you're talking about.
The
Hey guys, what's heroic?
The wonderful game set in Bear's own world using basic fantasy role-playing system, slightly adapted.
What was fun about that for me was Iman literally trying to debate whether I was crazy or not. That was really fun.
No. Not...
I didn't know you were saying basic fantasy there, man. That's kind of cool.
And yeah, and of course my paladin-esque character who is a dickhead.
Paladin-esque my ass.
Oh, he's a good guy. He's good. He firmly
Yeah,
believes he's good.
His alignment would be good, but what kind of good would he be?
He is lawful good. He is
obnoxious.
utterly lawful.
Is he though?
Obnoxious good.
He's awful stupid, is what he is.
No,
He's not lawful.
he is a bit stupid.
Lawful
He's
stupid, probably.
He is
I
lawful.
think the word we're looking for is thick.
Yes.
He's a bit thick.
He's a killer.
No,
as the
maybe
British would say.
dense.
But he is lawful good. He's not a bad guy in the slightest.
He's just
yeah.
he's just a
Probably
prick.
challenged.
Yeah. He's a bit of
I'm just waiting for that suffer not a witch part to kick in.
Well, unfortunately,
Yeah, kill him quickly. Don't let him suffer. We already talked about that with mustard gas.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad in my games, my morality.
You've gone very murky, DK. Very murky.
Oh, sorry, I was just scratching my nose. One second.
So we get to look forward to this Saturday where Andy joins the campaign.
We do, yes.
We get to see what he brings to the table. I'm sure it'll be really good because if it's anything like he did in Call of Cthulhu,
well, we shall see. We are looking forward to Andy's addition to the Codex Albana game. Well, Andy's not on stream.
what is going to take to him?
I don't know.
Peasant.
Not well. I predict not well.
I don't know anything about his character, so
No, me neither.
You will. And I predict you will not take to it well.
oh, good.
And get a new square to the bingo. Andy's character goes insane.
Yes, Manfred.
Yeah.
I'm joining the Codex Albana campaign.
Well,
Yes.
actually, Andy's character's starting is insane.
Is he? Excellent. That'd be wonderful.
Or
Oh, no.
perfectly rationally sane.
So
Are we bringing back Harold, but in a
That is
different
not
campaign?
word. So you have to sit here until I cut it out. Okay, you're going to be an asshole? You're going to cut the knot out. All right, we got somebody. Bye.
I was happy to see, talking about just emotional response, I was happy to see that my group in our last session, he's a sage for all intents and purposes. It's the old guy in town. He passed away, and they were actually disappointed that he was gone. I was optimistic at the buy-in they had to the world from that. And what reminded me of that is Bear, because he left them his cat. He said, I will give you, I have these things for you. The party was in his will, but you can't have them unless you take care of my cat. So they now have a cat named Mouser in their party.
is he grey?
Yeah, he's a gray tiger stripe.
So he's a grey mouser.
Oh, get out.
Actually, it turns out this guy was 104 when he died. This cat is 160 something. It was his grandmother's familiar because she was a little Bush League spellcaster. So the cat went to the magic user in the party, and he now has a familiar without having to find familiar.
Excellent.
And the old man had been keeping a journal of the things that he had experienced in life for, probably 94 years. And he left that for the party, and the cleric started reading it, and they had some downtime. So in 2 weeks, I let it act as a manual of insight. So his wisdom went up a point from it.
But does that mean that the cat will experience those things with them? So they'll know how the cat thinks. And cats are evil, going back to the topic.
So not evil.
No, cats are chaotic. They're not evil.
Yeah, chaotic. They're not evil.
No,
Cats are just annoying. They don't have an alignment. They're just annoying.
no, they're category.
They're lovely little creatures.
But they're
not
cute when they're annoying, just like cheerleaders. You give them a bye.
Unlike dogs. Dogs are just neutral good.
Dogs that have alignment.
Except Chihuahuas, they're evil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Chihuahuas they're Asmodeus's lapdog. Although my ex-mother-in-law had Pomeranians.
Palms are evil.
I hated that little bastard. I'd walk in their house, and I would just kick it as hard as I could, launch it across the kitchen. My father-in-law would look at me and go, "Man, I wish I could get away with doing that." He hated those fucking things too.
Now, on that note, my niece's ex-boyfriend at one point kicked our cat. This was about 5 years ago, and I haven't forgiven him yet.
Well, see,
I wanted
little
to
elf
the animals.
every
It's the
time
fastest way to make
tried to
me
bite me.
the rest
So
of my
yeah,
life.
I got sick of it. Now, if you just walk in and kick an animal for shits and giggles, I have an issue. But train your fucking dog not to bite my ankles, and I don't have to correct your animal. Flat out.
Maybe the dog knew that those ankles were going to be used to kick it. It was just preempting.
Yeah, can't dogs can detect evil, right? Don't you? They always have them barking at ghosts and stuff in the scary movies.
So then,
Dogs are
according
the
to
paladins
that,
of the real world.
according to
And
that,
on
every
that
Pomeranian
bombshell,
is
shall
evil.
we begin wrapping this little stream up, this little tete-a-tete?
I could see
The
a
only
Saint Bernard being a
person,
paladin.
the only person that Palm liked was Mac's mother-in-law, and she was an evil bitch too. Enough said.
I've got a spaniel, and she is the absolute definition of neutral good. She doesn't care as long as she's getting fuss and giving fuss and cuddling people and being nice.
Well, that's the way Wes is. He's awesome. Yeah.
Iman,
Yeah.
you've met my doggy, haven't you?
I was
She
just
would
about to
calm
say
up
the
right.
first time I ever met her, she literally just came over, sniffed me a little bit, just rolled over and showed me a belly. And I was thinking, is it because you like me? Because I got food.
It's
Probably.
So tying this back in, do you think having well-played evil NPCs get your players more invested in the world their characters are inhabiting?
Yeah.
So how would you play an evil NPC well? And I think you've already touched on it. They're not stupid. They're not going out acting like unpredictable a-holes.
I disagree.
You think they should be unpredictable a-holes?
That is the romanticization of evil that Hollywood teaches us. I've known plenty of people who I would qualify as evil who were stupid as a fucking bag of hammers.
Mhm.
You know, just being evil doesn't make you smart. It just makes you evil. So a guy who's chaotic evil with a 4 intelligence in D&D terms, since it's what we're able to talk around here, isn't going to be a cunning villain plotting his master strokes against the players. He's going to be awful like them. And he's going to run over and hit them with a hammer.
And that,
broad daylight.
in my game, that would be a first or second level evil NPC, because if you're a stupid evil NPC, you're not going to make it to 9th or 10th level. Someone is going to figure out your game and put an end to you.
Generally,
there's your problem with level-based games.
But, a proper evil villain would be like, yes, Sir Halakar, I'm very pleased to have you in town. Come, enjoy what my castle offers. What wine do you like? What ale would you like? And while you're here, shall we talk business? I mean, I could do with a strong arm like you. You see, there's my rival across yonder. Foul individual. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why I think he's foul. I just think he is. But here's a pouch of 500 gold pieces. Off him for me, please. But don't mention me.
When I was playing Vampire, it was Middle Ages, and my vampire was British. He did not like the French. We had a vampire in our group that was an Oriental vampire because someone had bought that book, so they had to play one. Did not speak any language as the rest of us did, but I was able to convince him through pantomime or whatnot that the French were evil because the way they spoke was similar to snakes, and snakes were evil. So I convinced someone that did not understand the language to kill everything that spoke French that it came across. That was intelligent use of evil upon my character's part, I thought.
Well, we do know that the French are evil, don't we? I mean,
my hovercraft is full of eels.
Pardon?
I will not buy this record. It is scratched.
Pardon? Is this some quote from something I don't know?
It's Monty Python, but never mind.
Sorry.
Tobacconist, mate. I will not buy this tobacconist. It is scratched.
I don't know that. I don't know that one.
God.
Sorry.
You're not English.
I'm sorry. DK, you've got a dog that needs kicking by the sound of things.
No, she's just freaked out by something. I don't know, or she's wound up because my sister's dog is staying over for a while, and she's just, I don't know. I'll go and calm her down. Give me 1 second.
Any chance I can mute you? There we go. Thank you.
Either that or she's barking at Dan through the computer.
Yes, yes.
She heard Dan's story about the palm, and she.
Yep.
Yes, yes. But no, my
Oh,
dog.
and I mentioned in the chat, but I don't know if it got brought up in the discussion part itself. I don't think, or at least for the evil group I was in, we made it to about 5th or 6th level, but at that point, people just lost interest in it.
I've never tried to run an all evil campaign. I think it would be quite difficult to keep it going, keep the cohesion going. For me, it's only ever been one shots. And I think there has to be a compelling reason why people who are innately selfish are forced to work together. It's hard to keep that reason tangible for any real length of time beyond the that initial adventure. Who did we lose?
Iman. Someone turned on the microwave.
Yes, yeah. You have that on your
that
card. Yeah, it's about that time. But we are coming close to Pumpkin Hour, the midnight deadline. So, did anyone wants to ask in chat, or we're just going to talk some shit for a bit?
Well, John, were you still planning on playing something a week from Friday? You mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing this Friday yet.
Well, no, next Friday you talked about. I said, are you gonna do something special for a Valentine's Day thing? And you said you had a Call of Cthulhu adventure that would fit that.
Yes, I haven't removed its shrink wrapping, so I don't know whether it would fit at all. I haven't read it yet. I've had other things to prepare for and other things to work for, so I don't know yet.
You've still got to choose your own adventure to finish.
We do.
Well, yes. I think I'll head off, guys. I'll see you. Bye.
All right. Cheers, DK.
Yeah.
We didn't die on that, did we? So this week I think we'll continue with the Choose Your Own Adventure, and then next week we'll look into maybe running another Call of Cthulhu session.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's a Friday thing. It's a Friday thing. Bear, are you all ready for Saturday?
What is happening on Saturday? That's what it feels like, John. Just in case you're wondering. When you do this shit to us, that's what it feels like.
It's my stream. I'm allowed to troll you on this stream.
You troll all the time. Doesn't matter what stream it is.
I'm not ready.
You can try, son. Yes, of course I'm ready for fucking Saturday. I've been ready for Saturday for 3 goddamn months.
Brian, I've made cars on streams before, but the problem with actually running it on stream is I get really, really frustrated when things on screen are fiddly, and I couldn't find a non-fiddly way of moving cars around a map. So I just ditched it. You'd have just seen me getting red-faced and angry and frustrated with moving little cars around a map in a fiddly manner. So
Which one, by the way, you know how tall he is, and you've seen him getting red-faced and angry is really cute. Like this angry little gnome getting all.
So a session of Car Wars at Claricon.
Yeah, that could be. The problem is it would take more than the 4 hours. It's a lot to go down.
Brian, the move went well. I'm not unpacked. I'm settling slowly.
It does look like. I mean, it looks like you got more shelf space.
Much more. Tons more.
Everything's all kind of spread out now.
To the point where we only new books.
Yes.
There's a whole open shelf there. You need a lot more books.
Because of the damage to the spine, you're not probably going to be able to read that.
Complete works of Shakespeare, yes.
Yes, it is. The year on it is.
Brush up on your Shakespeare.
Hang on, I need my glasses. Give me a second. You're actually going to like this, John. This will actually appreciate you. My aunt dropped off some books from my grandfather's library.
Oh, lovely.
I've added them. I have the dictionary with the where you need the magnifying glass.
Does that dictionary have the proper phonetic pronunciation of the word twat?
Yes, actually this dictionary has the etymology of the words as well.
Yeah.
This copy of the Oxford Shakespeare, the complete works, is from 1893.
Cool.
That's the year I set the year one of our Call of Cthulhu games was set.
I've got a copy of Ivanhoe from around that time.
And then I have a book on Greek history from, I think, the 1850s, and a book on Assyria from like the 1870s.
Wow.
Excellent.
Oh, do you hear that? Slan's officially jealous.
Slan is officially jealous. Yes.
I have to look at I have the whole set of James Fenimore Cooper, like Last of the Mohicans and stuff. I have to look those up. I think they might be the first publications also. Those are pretty.
When was that written?
I'd have to get my books out to tell you. I haven't read them because I don't want to screw up the bindings or anything. I actually traded a firearm for them.
Whoa.
Oh, that's saying something.
I got $150 and the books.
Cool. And on that bombshell, we have reached. Daryl's asked me a question. Have I heard of Gaslands from Planet Masher games? No, I haven't. Is that a Car Wars clone? If it is, then it might be worth looking up. But I was looking at running Car Wars possibly on a stream at some point. It just frustrated me too much trying to set it all up. It really did. And I found it really, really annoying trying to rotate the cars because everything was so fiddly. I need something that moves them around in clicks rather than fine movement. It's so frustrating. Okay, I will look that up, Daryl. I'll look that up. But I've got to bring this stream to a close because I've got work in the morning. We're at pumpkin hour. And as you know, I work a full day on a Thursday. I have a 9.5-hour shift in the shop tomorrow, starting about 9 hours from now. James Fenimore Cooper wrote in the 1820s, 1850s. Right, okay.
Yeah, he died in 1851.
Okay, I didn't know that. So those are going to be old. All right,
The
on that.
pigtails. Every time somebody's trying to do something in the woods, they step on a twig and the bad guys hear it.
But on that, I'm going to end the stream. So thank you, fellas, for joining me. Thank you for joining me. And thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody. I shall see you Friday. But
Have a good night, all.
For tonight, I think we're done.
Hey.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.